right, guys. Hello, hello, hello. It is a guy, a girl, a guy, and a movie. Right now, the guy's on screen. Janet is getting one last thing situated, and oh, there she is ready. Three, two, and one. Hello, Miss Janet. How are you today?
Good. A nose.
Awesome. Awesome. That looks so good.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you look great. You look great.
Well, for a minute, it's okay.
It'll stay on for about a minute probably, and then it'll probably slip off. That's how
Because
those
it's not a clamper. It's on with blue dots.
uh, happens. Happens. My name is Bruce, and Janet is from another planet here. Janet from another planet is with us tonight, and she is cosplaying as a Freeman. Very nice.
Ramen.
A Freeman.
Uh-huh.
We watched the Dune 1984 David Lynch movie. It was the Spice Diver edit. That's the first time you've ever seen that, right?
Yes, that edit. Yes, that's the first time I've ever seen it.
What
And
did
it
you
was
think about that?
Do what?
What did you think about that?
I thought it was great. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was really, really good.
I'm going to be starting to read. I've actually secured a copy of Dune the last 24 hours, so I'll be receiving that here in the next few days, and I can start reading that probably a little bit every day. I'm looking forward to this. Everybody says this is a great book series. You have to read at least these 6 books. Don't read the other books. These 6 right here by Frank Herbert. Read those. Do not
Yeah.
read Brian Herbert. Brian Herbert writes like all the spin-off crap that just makes no need. There's no need for it. But Mr. CCDV, hello. He says his Spice Must Flow. 6 Nations,
Yeah.
31 Kings says, evening, y'all. I can't decide if this is one of the best sci-fi movies growing up or the best 80s teen coming of age movie I've seen. He's kind of tossed on that one. He doesn't know. The Crafting Gamer, hello, sir. He says, hi, all.
Well,
Nice. I want to go to Dune now. Yes, I understand that, Ruben Christopher Haynes. And sort of Pubis Cuber. Hello.
it's dry. It's a dry planet.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah.
Hello, sort of Pubis. It's good to see you, sir. Janet, this movie is a great film that a lot of people just kind of piss on. My own parents don't like it, which I don't understand. They'll watch Return of the Jedi, the worst Star Wars film up until 1999. No, we're not including Holiday Special, but we'll watch that.
Yeah.
But they won't watch Dune. Our friend John from The Convicted
Oh, hi, John.
JHP
Hi, John.
76. He sends us a Woody the Woodpecker super sticker. Damn it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. You did not have to do that, sir. John's going to be involved with us on one of these streams, one of these Monday nights here coming up in October. And it will be a Goonies stream. And I don't even know how to contain myself because that's like one of the films that when you're a young kid and you see it, you're like, oh my God, I am so in that world. Yes, we're looking forward to this, sir.
Yeah, it's going to be good, I hope. I hope it turns out.
Friendly polar bears over on Janet's channel.
Oh, I have to open that up. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead.
Because remember, I turned it off because I always make it so loud. I can never get it to mute. I don't know why. Even though I have my phone turned down all the way.
We'll start talking about this film once technical issues are circumvented, mantled over. And John, don't worry. We did miss you, but we understand you had to work. Parrot Head says One-Eyed Willie. Yep.
Yeah, I printed out a couple of notes.
Ooh.
About the movie. Sorry, guys, my suit's very loud. It's squeaky. But about him having this book came out in 1965.
Wow.
Very futuristic, with their point of view on things and how they wanted things to work in his futuristic world. I just thought that was very interesting because I haven't read the books myself. So I thought that was very interesting, the way that these books were changed. To me, from everything that I could read, pretty much everything I read said that this movie really did good at following the books. So we'll see. What do you
I
think?
honestly, I'll be able to let you know here in about a month. I should be finished with the book,
Mm-hmm.
with the first book at least.
Yeah.
Lady joins us. Hello, sir. How you doing? Um, I've never seen the movie in the big screen. I've always seen it on the television at home or the monitor off the laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love this film, and I think the way it starts out, I think the way that you have Princess Aurelian talking to you and giving you kind of like the quick and dirty of
Yeah,
this
the
world.
opening. Yeah,
Yeah.
opening by explaining what was going on at the beginning. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need that, and they don't really vary from that on the Spice Diver cut, which I'll be putting the link to that here in just a moment. If you are familiar with the Spice Diver cut, it is a cut where they took hidden or deleted scenes and they assembled them together to make it a more honorable story towards the books. It really they keep the reading devices, but that's like the one major change from what I've heard from everybody talk about. The rest of of this 3 hour movie is very close to the first two books at the very least. So, Janet, when you were watching this film on this version, what was the particular thoughts that you had for new scenes that were added?
Well, like you said, the one scene with the one gentleman that Paul Atreides fights, his wife, you get to see his wife and her two sons that come and for the service when they burn his body, and the sons place his dagger on the body before they burn it to take the water from him. And they give it to the wife. I thought that was a really good scene. I'm glad they added that because it gave a little personal touch to the warriors and how they treat them with respect, because water is the most precious commodity on the planet. So I thought that was a really good scene. And I don't remember it being in the other movies. So when you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, I think that that one scene, because you didn't get to see his wife before. Because later on, when they're being or was it before that, they were being trained uh, in the using the weapon with sound.
Yes.
And when he went out to ride the worm for the first time, the two boys were out there in the desert learning how to do that too.
And I thought that was pretty interesting because I had recognized little boys there before in the background of the scenes, and I was thinking they might have had some significance, which they do. I did not realize. So therefore, the first time watching this, which was not last night, meeting Hera the first time is interesting because she's got this like anticipatory look. She's not like depressed. Her husband just got killed. This is a second husband that she's lost because of the knives.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look like she's like really supremely in a dour mood because of it. She's just like, all right, well, on with the next. And that's basically how I took it. The way she just, all right, sons, here's our new dad. Here's your new daddy, and that's it. I'll need to read more about Hera because that has some significance in the book. I'm sure her two boys are there in the movie at the scene where they're doing the test on the weirding way, and then later with the hunt for the worms. It was very impressive to finally have an idea as to why are these two children here, because they don't explain to you anything in the theatrical version. They don't really give you horror or anything at all. It's just like you have a movie where 90% of the things you need to understand what's going on, 90% of it is omitted. And you have to go read about it.
Well, you got to remember too, you had to make sure it wasn't too long for the movie theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So editing it for being online, it doesn't have to be a certain length. It can be any length that you want it to be. So there you have a difference right there.
That's true.
So I thought it was great, though. It didn't seem like it was 3 hours long to me. Did it to you?
No, not in the least bit. That movie felt so short. I mean, short. When we're watching it last night, I thought, man, this is really a shorter movie than I remember, because the 2 hour long plus theatrical cut was good, but it drug. It actually felt like it drug. This is it zips along.
Oh, and plus it also added the whole thing with the opening for each of the different chapters from the book.
Mm-hmm.
They added that to the movie.
1, 2, 3, before, yes.
Yeah, so I thought that was really good to try to pull you back into it, so you'd remember it was a story and from the book. So I like that.
And for those that haven't seen this movie doesn't really open with it doesn't open with Princess Aurelia. It does open with the is it the Shadat Mapes on Dune? She's the Freeman's Bene Gesserit lady, and
Yeah.
she talks about how they're the chosen ones. They're the secret to the universe, but they're the chosen ones. And at first it seems kind of hokey, but if you just like listen, this is an entire story built on prophecy, and it mimics our own world's Abrahamic religions really well. This just roll with it; it'll make sense. And it made a lot more sense whenever you watch that in its context. Yes, lady.
Yeah.
Later on, Paul does indeed take the two boys as his own, trains them, and is a good father to them, from what I'm seeing on the wikis. His first wife, one he won from the knife fighting Hara.
Yeah.
She's a very maternal lady, and she is a nurse to Elia, Leto, Ganima Atreides, the wife of Stilgar. I mean, she's just super nurse. That's her thing.
Yeah, see, they didn't go into any of that, so I wouldn't even have known that he had a different wife besides the Emperor's daughter.
Well, I mean, that's the Fremen custom. Oh, you killed him in combat, you get his wife.
And so you can have multiple wives?
This is not really based on normal modern.
No, I know, but I mean, in the story, you can have multiple wives if you've killed multiple people in fights.
Yeah, it looks like as long as you've got the capacity to take care of them, the more men you kill, the more you're going to have a family grow. It would be
he could take everyone's wives if he wanted to.
You could. You just have to get rid of the kids, because you don't want that. If you're trying to get rid of bad blood or weak blood, and you want your line to be, you have to kill all the kids, and then you have to get the girls pregnant again. It's just sounds like a lot of hassle. Extra steps.
No, it doesn't. Steps. But the one scene, I didn't realize. All the other times I've watched this, I didn't realize how powerful he was until I saw the scene where he killed that one Harkonnen, and then he did the voice without the wielding way thing on his throat, and he was able to split the ground underneath him.
Yeah,
so,
that was in a theatrical cut,
yeah.
And that was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it really was awesome.
Snortapoopa says, when I first saw Dune at the theaters for the first time, we walked out when it was over into a pouring thunderstorm. Damn it, Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. It was.
he could only take one wife, and that's why he and Chiny never got married. Okay, but I thought they were like pairing that off of like there's a lot of guys. You're gonna hear me say something. Three, two, one. There's a lot of Muslim culture in this film, and
Mhm.
I'm not trying to say anything critical
Well,
or
not
anything.
really. It's not
There's,
strictly Muslim. It's
but there's
Old Testament type stuff.
and the reason why I say that is because right now the people that are primarily living in the deserts, thriving in the deserts, they're doing so much better than us white Anglo types. Um, Typically, it's guys in Saudi Arabia or the desolate parts of Iran or stuff like that. And I'm just saying that, like, I know a lot of Saudi guys that are married to 3 and 6 wives, and it's funny because they also play their wives to where the wives don't get along so well. So he never gets outvoted at the family gatherings because one woman in Muslim culture only considers half a voice. So for something to get done with women, like double the number of women must be in agreement on something if they're going to change an edict or something because they just lose by numbers. And if there's ever an accusation of rape, 4 people have to witness it to say. But anyway, there's a lot of culture in this film that Frank Herbert picked up because of his time in the desert with the people that are originally from the desert. So please don't, just take it for what this is. It was written in the 1960s. From what I understood initially, that you could have more than one wife in that specific real world existence. We still do have bigamy in parts of the United States. Look at you, Mormons. The Bene Gesserit would only make daughters so they wouldn't interrupt their breeding program, which is to make the Kwisatz Haderach, the shortening of the way, controllable Messiah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, the part where Thufir um, pretty much violates his own life and gives it up, surrenders to Paul. That was sad. That
Hmm.
really was sad. Given that the Freeman religion has some Islamic characteristics, I would not be surprised if they practice polygamy. Yeah, that exactly is what I'm thinking. I think if you killed like 5 or 6 dudes and majority of them are married, you would have an instant family, and the majority of Fremen that are around you would be like, well, you're going to be a busy father. You better, not go on any raids. You better be plowing some fields. It just
Yeah, and plus you wouldn't want to have more wives than you could afford to take care of. you
Yeah,
know,
and
so
into modern
that to
today's,
not kill people.
this isn't the first time I've heard this. Flady echoes something I've heard before. Most Muslim nations will cap out with 4 wives. Arabic, Turkish, French, etc. Herbert mishmashed his experience in the Oregon dunes with Middle Eastern culture and kit bashed religions. Crazy how it all worked. I thought he had spent some time over there because he writes and his theories on the culture are so steeped in. You can just almost feel the facts oozing out of it as he writes a narrative. Like, oh, I saw this on National Geographic. I'm going to write about it and throw a multi novel narrative together that people will go apeshit crazy for until a fucking hobbit throws a ring in a volcano. The definition of polygamy is having one wife too many. The definition of monogamy is the same.
I was gonna say bye to John. He says he has to leave.
uh,
Thank
love you
you for
guys.
coming.
Dude, Johnny, you didn't have to give us a super chat, but I appreciate it. We'll get that towards the Wounded Warrior Project. Appreciate you and be looking for us. We will be doing a show with you later on in October. And John, that date is October. Wait for page to load.
Yeah, night.
October 12th. Or yeah, October 9th. My bad. I was looking at August 12th, the day we made it. We will be watching the Goonies October 9th, sir. So we're looking forward to this. Mm.
Yeah, hopefully we can keep him, make him remember. I try to remind him all the time on Twitter. So, but thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. We both appreciate it.
Support both of you. Thank you, sir. Be with you on Discord on Sunday. Awesome. Be good, convicted. God bless you.
Yes, very.
Okay. Yeah, this movie starts off with some really cool shit. And like for me, the cool shit is just setting up the backstory and getting, you have the prophecy down, then you talk with or listen to Princess Aurelian talk, and she kind of tells you that there's some warring noble houses. Two of them in particular are really heating it up. And then you have the guild navigator, the guild's report from the spice navigators, and that's where you learn of things going on between Harkonnen and House Atreides, and it was so cool to see that as everything's taking place. And I love the way this movie just kind of slowly just feeds you information. It just does it at this nice relaxed pace. It could be a little bit more rapid fire, but why? There'd be no need. The way that everything paced and the way that the music sets up everything, it sounds very atmospheric whenever it's going through the Princess Aurelian scene and then the Guild Navigators Stage 3 report. It's just so atmospheric. Sorry, I love this fucking movie. that's
Yeah, I was impressed with the scenery from inside the buildings and stuff for the intricate the carvings on the walls, the way they made the beds, the details that they put into the to all the scenes, the elaborate costumes, like especially at the emperor's I guess his castle or whatever you want to call it. But his all the people when he was about to have the greeting or the meeting at the very beginning, and his daughter was the only one wearing a colorful gown, and everyone was wearing black.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really very elaborate detail put into the whole thing. I just thought that was they didn't have to do that. Especially with limited amount, they had a limited amount of actual people in it. I don't know. Even though it looked like lots of people, but you could definitely tell that it wasn't that. Well, I could definitely tell that it was like cloned. They used a lot of cloning effects to make it look like
the same 10 or 20 people are wearing different outfits at different times. It looks like
yeah, like when the gentlemen that were standing around the tank at the very beginning that were using the shop vacs to suck up the spice that was coming out with the steam, because it's such a precious commodity, they didn't want to waste anything. So this little things, elements like that, where you could tell that the director was just really trying to show his vision of what he saw from the story. Now, I don't know whether or not he read the books or not, but he definitely, the script was very rich in detail for each of the scenes. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Each of the scenes and the backdrop for everything. Even in the just the office of the Baron. I'm trying to remember. Paul Atreides' father, wasn't he a Baron too?
Duke Leto Atreides.
Oh, Duke. Okay, Duke. I'm sorry. Even in his office, the way they had it set up with him petting the dog, had just little simple things to make it seem like how at home he was. And then the scene in the castle with the emperor, and they had all the dogs, and it was so funny because all the dogs were either bulldogs or small pugs, things like that. I just thought the choice of dogs, because usually they always have like these giant Irish wolfhounds or basset hounds and things like that, depending on uh, the era, that the movie is in. But I thought it was really great that they used almost in every scene when they had a dog in it, it had a pug-nosed pug or a bulldog, which I thought was really good. And the carvings on the walls, the banisters. I mean, they went over and above, I think, to make sure the scenes inside the buildings were done. Now, there wasn't much they could do about some of the scenes, outside when they had the ships flying against the backdrop. You could tell there were miniatures, but that's only because how long ago was it the movie came out? It's been what, 20, 30 years, right?
1984, 29 years.
Okay, 30, almost 30 years. And we can tell a huge difference today from watching stuff with the CGI and things, the way that they're able to do a lot of this stuff. So I just thought that the intricate detail they went into, because it wasn't CGI, you know what I mean? Everything, the sets were built and painted and elaborate. I mean, the curtains and the textures they used on the beds and the chairs and things like that. I just thought it was just above and beyond. They did an excellent job trying to give you the difference between between the emperor's, his furniture and in the surroundings in his chambers and his castle, and then compared to the Atreides home, and then the Harkonians, because the Harkonians was sterile, was more what was that?
Cold.
What's that word? It's like industrial. You know what I mean? It had the simple chairs that everything looked like it was made out of metal or steel. It was very barren. It was very empty, very little things in it. Like it had no woman's touch at all. And you could tell there was a woman touch in the other buildings, because they had flowers, they had different colors and fluffy pillows. They had just different things in it. So I just like that whole aspect to make it more homely. And when he was leaving to go to the Arrakis to stay there to try to clean the place up, and having all his guards going around trying to make sure that there wasn't any, detonation devices or poison stuff laying around to kill as many people as they could, even though they did. And I thought that was all really good detail to add for the visualization for the people who hadn't read the books, because I hadn't read them, and I thought it was very full of different layers of story. Even with just the visuals, it was really good. The technology, like when they were flipping switches and using microphones to talk into and things, I just thought it was really good. And I think I brought it up, the part where on Atreides, the planet, what was the name? Dune's planet's name again?
Arrakis.
Yeah, Arrakis. How they didn't have a lot of technology on it, because I told you I thought they probably didn't want a lot of technology because they didn't want anyone to be able to steal any spice, because it was so valuable. They couldn't risk even ounces being taken. So everything was fixed to where it was really hard to get a ship to get off the planet, or for things to hold it in. I just thought that was really smart on his part to make sure the director had put that in there to make it so it was really, I don't know. I just thought it was very realistic for a person that's trying to figure out how they would run a planet like that to keep you from stealing something that's more valuable than water, or even water. If people couldn't even steal water and run off with it. So I just thought it was really good, the detail that the director went through to make sure that we could see that when we watched the movie. I thought that was great.
I can't see anything negative about it. This movie, the only thing maybe wrong with it is that Paul Atreides is too old in this film.
Mm-hmm.
He should
Yeah, a
be.
lot of people. I remember a lot of people saying that, but to me, he seemed young. He seemed like a young guy that might be old enough to start to go to college. Maybe 18. So, I didn't think it would look too bad to me, but I didn't read the books. So I can understand how I felt when I said that I didn't like Wolverine. So, because I read the comic books and he's short and stocky, not real tall and good looking. So I can understand why someone would be upset because it didn't really work that way. It wasn't really set up to accommodate that. But I think they wanted somebody that they felt could actually fulfill whatever the duty was asked for this movie instead of trying to get some young actor, because this was his first movie, wasn't it,
I believe so.
for Kyle to
For
be
Kyle
in?
MacLachlan, yeah, I think it was his first film.
So I thought he was phenomenal for the part, and I think that the girl that they got to play his lover, his love interest, she wasn't too young to make it look like he was some kind of child rapist. You know what I mean? So I thought they did really good. So I think they were the exact same age in real life. I'd have to look it up and see, but I think they were. Let me see. Because I think I saw that somewhere that they were both the same age. Darn it, I didn't print that one out. Poop. Yeah, I think they were the same age, exactly the same age, which is which you don't normally see, because usually you have the woman way younger than the man, but you couldn't do that in this because then the girl would be too young to be with an older person. But I don't know. Do you happen to know how old they were?
In the books, it
What?
should be 15.
No, I mean how old Kyle was in real life when he
I
was
think
in
it's
this movie. 20?
28.
28? Well, he
Think so.
definitely did not look 28 to me. He looked like he might be 18, 19 years old to me.
Kyle MacLachlan.
And how old was what was her name? Sean?
Sean Young.
Yeah, Sean Young. How old was she? I think they're the same age.
Okay, he was born in 59.
Mm-hmm.
So in 84, he would have been 25.
He was 25?
Yep.
Okay.
And Sean Young. And for her age, she looks really good. I'm just going to bring this up real quick. I know, Bruce, you're focusing on the wrong parts. Shh. I have a penis.
Yeah, I sent you pictures of both the lead women of today, because you were telling people, don't look it up, it'll ruin it. But I didn't think it did. I was amazed because it was 30 years ago.
That's Sean Young today.
Mhm.
And Sean Young was born, she was 25 as well.
Did you add it so that they could see it?
Let me do that.
Yeah, because I thought she looked phenomenal. Because she looked phenomenal when she was young too. But she was also in Blade Runner, right?
Yes.
Okay, and was that around the same time that this one was coming out?
2 years before that.
Oh, Blade Runner came out 2 years before?
Yep.
Wow. See, I just thought this movie, I remember when I saw this that I didn't recognize either one of them from anything. So I thought there was like their first movies that they made or something like that. Because he was also in a couple of other TV shows or movies made by the same guy that was the director. What was his name? Let me see. David Lynch.
Yep. David Lynch did Twin Peaks, if I remember right.
Yeah, Twin Peaks, and it was something else. I'm trying to get my paper here. Darn it.
My Fleety says my big disappointment by Moderna day standards is a lack of diversity. I mean, there's female warriors and Black and Asian Middle Eastern generals. This clearly shows the casting couch was bigoted back in the 1980s.
Yeah, the only person I thought that looked like they were maybe of a different race was the young little housekeeper,
Mhm.
the woman that almost died when she tried to open the door without knocking on Paul Atreides' room.
Yeah.
Which I remember I brought that up when we were watching it because I didn't really remember that. The fact that she just walked in was just because he could have been dressing for all she knew, but the fact that she was just going to walk into his room without announcing herself, I thought was that was a mistake. I mean, I thought that was a mistake on the part of the people making the movie or editing or whatever, because that wouldn't have happened. Not when you had someone that high up and have just a lowly nobody just walk in their suite or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was, I don't know, I just didn't think that was a very good spot for her to do it. But, it made me think during the movie that I remembered was that maybe she was involved and she was going to see if he was dead. You know what I mean? If it got him or not. But then she said that thank you to him when he saved her life. And then later we find her in the hallway dead from being stabbed, I guess, by the poison, one of the poison darts. Killed her anyways. So, I don't know. You didn't think that was, that stood out when she tried to just walk into his room? Bruce? I guess he's not around. Well, yeah, I see what Flady's saying, but the thing is, you got to remember there was a lot of bad guys that were wanting those people out, and they were trying to clear the whole place, right, of bombs and stuff, because the Harkonians were pissed off that they supposedly got kicked out, and they were giving it to the Atreides to run it. So, to me, that I don't know, it just didn't make any sense. I thought it was wrong. I don't think they should have done it that way. It took away from it took me out of it when I was like, what is a girl like that just walking into someone's room when he could be changing? I mean, it just seemed out of place. I just thought it was wrong, but maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I thought. But there was also something else. Let's see, what was the other thing that I wrote down? The part where when his mother drank that, darn it, I'm having a brain fart. Sorry. When she drank the water of life and knowing she was pregnant, that was another thing that I had a hard time with, trying to understand why any woman that knew they were pregnant, especially with her husband, and she thought that he would die. And that's why she said she had to have sex with him, because she wanted to be able to have another child in case he didn't make it. And then she knew she was pregnant. Even Paul knew she was pregnant, but she still drank of the water. I just thought that was, I don't know, that took me out of the whole story myself. Now, I don't know if that happens in the books or not, but for my caring of the characters, I just thought that was not something a mother would want to do, to risk her child's life, just like she didn't want to risk her son. And she broke the rules just to give her man that she's in love with a son, even though she was told she was forbidden to ever have a boy. She could only have daughters. So her making that jump in two different directions was a little far-fetched for me, for the story. That stood out. I had a hard time absorbing that and then trusting her still, because it took some trust away for her character for me to think that she would do something like that to risk her child's life. Because if a grown man, every grown man who's ever drank the water of life has died, why would she think that it wouldn't kill her or have her to make her baby die? kill her baby. So I don't know. That really bothered me a little bit. And maybe it's because I'm a woman that I felt that way. But it to me it just seemed out of character for her character to do something like that. Now the other woman, the other Reverend Mother that made Paul Atreides stick his hand in the box, she was very forceful and she seemed more deviant and more evil, I guess. Um, she talked about them wanting someone who could help them by going somewhere that they could not in their mind because they weren't powerful enough to get past the fear of where they had to go to see the vision that they needed to see. And so that whole story got messed up for me when she drank from drank the water of life. It just really messed me up. It took me a little bit to get back into the movie after that because I'd forgotten about it. I'd forgotten that she had done that. Even though I remembered him having a little sister, I forgot about her drinking the water of life. But I really did enjoy the way that they showed you. They gave you the details to show you where the water of life came from. That wasn't in the original movie, was it, Bruce?
I don't remember the Water of Life in the theatrical cut. I remember
Yeah, I love that
about it, but that was new in this version.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was a great thing to add because they talk about it so much throughout the whole story that to finally get to see where it comes from and see the giant worm in that tank drinking the water. And then they take it out and then they hold it upside down and have the water drain out of it into this special
distilled concoction.
Yeah, it was I don't know, it was just kind of gross, but kind of ritualistic and spiritual at the same time. So to me, I just thought that was, I don't know, I thought that was a great touch to show you how powerful it is because we don't know for sure anything about these worms. Is it spice that they eat? I mean, do they make the spice or they poop in spice? I mean, we don't know for sure. So the thought of drinking moisture that comes out of one of these worms was, pretty gruesome, to think about it, but how powerful it must be if it does kill people. So, and then also the way they showed the baby in her womb, that was pretty awesome, especially since we know that they didn't have CGI, that was like a puppet or something, right?
They had to be a puppet or some sort of maybe even animatronic or motion control piece. I really thought that was impressive when I first saw that.
Well, go ahead and I'll let you talk about your tea. Is that tea or coffee?
Oh, this is coffee.
Oh.
This is a coffee from our friends at Blackout Coffee. Right now, they do have a special going on. Let me pull that up. Blackout Coffee is a American coffee made in they grind it up in Florida, Ocala, Florida area, then they ship it up out of the peninsula to us. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they're not. Okay, that's it. My server or my browser decided to crash, which took everything away.
Oh, I thought maybe you got a phone call or something. I didn't know.
Nope.
I didn't see the circle of death. That normally you see that little something that starts popping up, and I didn't see that, so I didn't know what happened. But I tried to carry on the best I could. I had to get my notes out and start looking at some stuff.
You did great. Okay, just talking about coffee here real quick. This is coffee with values, and they love the Second Amendment. That's their jam.
Mm-hmm.
When they're on duty, they do have a thing where, like, if you buy any coffee, they're shipping off an amount to soldiers. We send 2 cups of coffee to active military for every bag you buy. So they send 2 cups of coffee out two amounts of grounds to active duty soldiers. That's pretty awesome. Right now they do have a neat little sale. Add 3 coffees or teas to your cart, and you get 1 free. The code is 5 years, and I'll get that for you here. 5 years. This is the coffee that I drink on a frequent basis. Also dip it between my tongue and my lower lip. I recommend people get into this. This is good stuff. Here is the code. 5 years, get free bag of coffee. Buy 3, get 1 free. BOGO. Right there. And here is the link for it. Recommend everybody that drinks coffee get this. This is their Fowler's Makery Mischief. This is a medium. It's got a little bit more of a caramel taste to it, like a little bit of a sweetness, but it's a really good blend. I love this bean. Their best, is my opinion, it's going to be Morning Reaper. And if you like coffee, just try it. Flady says that he bought a 5-pound bag less than 2 months ago, and he's already through it. That's a lot of coffee. All right, Janet, we're going to talk about this movie again. This wonderful
Does it
movie.
Does your coffee come ground, or can you buy it all with
I buy mine in bean form.
Okay.
You can buy it in beans.
Okay, that's good.
If
So
you
they'll
have
know
a
that they have to
grinder.
grind it up.
I recommend get the beans. Have a grinder. They cost you $15 for Cuisinart at Walmart or Sam's. This is an interesting question here from Six Nations.
Mm-hmm.
What would we think of split personalities or demonic possession? It's what you have this awakened child wake up from the waters of life. What would they be like? This is a pretty wild tangent that we go into. I like that idea. And that as a narrative, that could be freaking scary as hell. Because you have the water of life, which mutates everything it touches, like the spice mutates everything it touches.
Mm-hmm.
See, look at the navigators. Poor navigators.
Well, so you did see the one witch that was working for the emperor, how she was instantly repelled by the young girl, even though she was what do you think she was, like 7?
9.
She was 9.
9, just like she was in real life. She was playing a 9-year-old girl.
Oh, okay. Well, she seemed little, very tiny for her age, I guess.
Filmed
That's
it
why
in
she's
83.
younger.
I think they
Do
filmed
what?
they filmed this in 83, I thought, and then they put the movie out in 84. So she would be 8 during this time.
Well, she looked very young to me, very, very, very young. But I don't know. It was kind of creepy. But when they did explain that, I wish they'd explained it a little bit more about that whole process, about how she aged that way and stuff like that. Was the fact that she was so powerful, her brain was so powerful, and her powers were so powerful that she could, get people to do certain things just by thoughts, right?
Yes.
Because she was so powerful. And the fact that she wasn't evil, because she was doing the right thing with her brother and her mom, and the people. So, I don't know. It would be very scary if I was her mother, knowing I had drank the water of life and not knowing what I was going to have. You know what I mean?
She was pregnant when she drank the water of life, and she
I
thinks
know.
about that afterwards. But of my unborn child, it's like, oops, too late now. Gulp, gulp.
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about when you disappeared. I was talking about how I had a hard time with that, because any woman, because remember the conversation she had when she made love to her husband before they left, the night before they were going to leave to go to the other planet. She was saying it has to be tonight, basically, because she knew that he might not live. Okay. So she wanted to conceive another child, and she was allowed to conceive another daughter because she believed her son was a cataract, right? So
Who did she get with
so
Paul?
she knew she was pregnant, and Paul knew she was pregnant. Okay, so the fact that she would leisurely drink the stuff instead of telling them I have to wait until I have my baby. I don't know. I just had a hard time with that. That really bothered me, that whole scene. And then seeing the baby and then her going into labor early and all that stuff. I don't know. I just thought it was it was totally not what her character seemed to have been before that, because of her loving her man so much that she broke the rules, knowing she could die or be killed by the group of witches for giving birth to a son. Things like that. She did it because she loved him, and she loved her son. That's why she stayed hidden and, was a good woman, to her husband, and stayed out of the way to make sure her son was safe.
Lady says,
I just
8-year-old
can't
running around with poison darts, and daggers. I'm good with it. It sounds like Chirac or Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I was talking about why she was pregnant after the baby comes. If it's that powerful, I mean, she knows how to, protect herself. It's not like you could just scoop her up and kidnap her, because she'd tear you up. So, because she was so powerful. But I just thought all that was really, really intriguing, though, the whole thing about the witches. And they didn't go into enough detail, I don't think. They could have made it a little longer by adding a little more about the relationship between her and the lead, the head mistress, or the head witch, or whatever you would call her. When she talks about how she was let down by her because she snuck off and had a son, I don't know. I just thought, she could be in another room and read people's minds. So I guess if you were on another planet, you wouldn't know whether or not she had given birth to a son. I mean, I don't know. I just thought, I don't know. It just made it really hard for me to put all that together when little bits here and there kept coming out about how do they hide it when they're that powerful that they can control someone's mind or speak a certain way and get people to do things against their will. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. I just had because I even thought the witch that worked for the emperor, they all wanted him to come, the one chosen one to come and rule and go to the place they could not, that type of thing. So I thought it was just funny that some of them were going against it and others were wanting to push it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that showed you basically the human trait of greed that come out, even though their religions were so powerful and strong and they were very religious to follow through on doing certain things, but they were still able to be so greedy that would overpower their faith. So I thought that was a very intriguing part of the movie myself.
Yeah. Chimerian says in the books, there's a vaulting between points, between the invasion and then you have the arrival of the emperor. It pretty much goes by within like a page turn. That's basically it. This movie does almost the same thing because you have Aaliyah breastfeeding on mom, and then the next time they bring her up, she's 8 years old or 9 years old and looks really small, but she's got a very well developed head on her shoulders. And the more you learn about her, the scarier she gets. That's the problem that I had with her. Like, Aaliyah is like the one part that I could see, like they make her as a character because they need to have like the supernatural, or the character that's there to help validate, like, yeah, you are actually part of the prophecy, and here's your little sister who was born of a mom that was high on psychotropic spice, and she'll be able to tell you any answer you need before 30 minutes before you go on stage. So have fun. I thought Aaliyah was just like the first few times I watched it, I didn't understand it. But this movie here explains it a lot better. And then Kai, he's like, in the books, there's like you turn a page and 20, 30 years will go by. So that happens in the Frank Herbert books.
Yeah,
Um,
but the part where she's now with the Fremen, okay, and they had their own witch, right?
Mhm.
That
Correct.
was running everything for them. So basically, they needed these witches to help them with their societies. Each
Not
each
really. They
one
need
of them.
one.
Well, they needed one. Each, what I'm saying, each of them had like a soothsayer or a witch doctor or whatever you want to call it, and that's what the witch would prophesize things for them to help their future, to make sure they're making the right decisions for their longevity of their people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So the one when she found out she was dying and she asked Paul Atreides' mother to take her place, that whole thing was, it made sense to me. But the fact that she said, well, I can't, she would have said, I can't, can I, give me a couple more months because I'm pregnant. And that they didn't know she was pregnant, especially with the other witch, very powerful. I mean, she's about to die of old age, so she had to be pretty powerful that she wouldn't know that she was pregnant. To fill another prophecy that she'd have another child, two children, one male and one female, that were the most powerful entities in the galaxies. I don't know. To me, that was, I don't know if that's how it came out in the books or not, but to me in the movie, it was just a little bit over the top for me. I don't know if that
Makes
sounds,
sense. Makes plenty of sense.
I mean, maybe it's because they were trying to cram in all the information from 6 books into one movie. That might have been it. I mean, I don't know because I didn't read the books. So I'm just saying from that part of it, when I had chance to think about it, because I'd seen it 4 times before, and I was like picking up things that I normally wouldn't because I'm looking at it different. I'm not just watching it for enjoyment. I was trying to find out more about the actual overall movie and how it was made and the story behind it and things like that, a little bit more detail. And I paid a little more attention to it. And I was trying to say, this doesn't really go together for me. I was trying to understand it, but I was like, especially the whole thing of her drinking that water when she knew she was pregnant with a man she loved. I mean, she really loved him. You could tell by everything she did, by giving him a son and being his concubine for so long and being a good woman to him. And then she's risking the only other child she has with him because she knew he was going to die when they went to the other planet. That prophecy was that he wasn't going to live. And I don't know. It just kind of made me not like her as much. I didn't want to not like her because I wanted to, but it just kind of hurt me a little thinking that she would risk that. I mean, if I was pregnant with my husband's baby and I knew he was going to die, I had a premonition or whatever, I would do anything to protect my child because I know that I could never have another one by him. As a woman, that's how I was looking at it. And I just thought that was pretty low on her part. I just said I didn't like it.
Yeah, they didn't really touch things beyond the first book. They really stayed within the first book of Dune and maybe a little bit of Children of Dune, not much beyond that.
Yeah.
She doesn't really grow fast. The movie glosses over a multi-year war where they choked off a spice that forced the guild and the houses to move, which was Paul's plan to confront the Emperor and the Duke.
Yeah. And it worked.
Yeah.
And I thought that whole scene where they're in that giant cavern underground and all the people are lined up and he's up there talking. And I just thought that was so cool. I don't know why. I just thought that was so impressive. And knowing on each side of those walls, there's millions of gallons of water. Wow. The whole thing to me was really, really, the concept of the way they set that up, I just thought I just really liked that part of it for sure. And it made Paul even more impressive to me. I could see his father's honesty and his love for his people coming through his son. And his father would have been so proud of him if he could have seen him. That's how I was looking at it. I mean, that sounds kind of stupid, but I was looking about how proud his father would have been of him, to seeing what a wonderful son he ended up having. because of everything he did for him and the relationship that he had with his son. He made him such a wonderful person, a good leader, a person that could lead his people to victory. And that's what I saw. So I thought that was really, really, really good. I love that whole thing, that part of it for sure. And it was a help too with his friends, the men that helped him fight. He taught him how to fight, and about history, and about learning about all the other planets and stuff like that, and the way that they lived their lives and where these people came from. All of those men, they did a good job at help raising him to make him such a good person, to be a good leader for his people. I thought that was really good. I'll shut up for a second.
You're good. I'm just amazed that I can just let you talk, and I'm going to chat. Just be under aware that if I don't have technical difficulties, if Janet's screen gets real large, takes up the whole screen, I had to use the restroom, and I trust her to feed, to give information to the audience.
Well, all I can do is tell you what I got out of it, what I saw, and how the story came together for me. And I can give you, that information. That's about it. But I'll let you put your input on all the things that I just talked about if you want.
Well, I really like how the movie starts off the Trades clan on Caladan, and I think that's really just kind of gorgeous, because that's a really good set of scenes there with Bronson or Brongun or whatever the Duke Leto Atreides is sitting there, and he's showing his son, we got to move soon. Life requires you always be challenging yourself to do something new and do something different. The sleeper must awaken, and the boy takes that line and he runs with it throughout the entire film. And I really kind of understood what Paul was being told at the time, because if you do stop challenging yourself, you really slow your growth. You really just stagnate. And unfortunately, I do think that once he has that discussion and then they go to Fold Space, that was kind of cool. Although nothing happened, everything happened. That entire portion of the movie is just them going from one side of the galaxy to the other within a few minutes, and they could have sailed around, but it would have caused more problems and not. But
I think they cut all the scenes that they could from actually showing the ships and stuff, because it was hard to make it look as good as it, like when you see out the window and they're flying over the ground and stuff, that wasn't so bad. It was when you saw the actual little tiny ship flying around is when it was a little harder to make it seem like it flowed together well, because it was you could tell it was a model, when they were doing it. But I like the whole premise of seeing a beautiful water planet, and then going to a total desert planet. The two totally different extremes between the two planets, and the fact that he came from a water planet, and the woman that he falls in love with is from a dry desert planet. So I thought that was kind of, really unique and romantic in a way. And then the fact that he sees her and he realizes she's the woman from his dream, and he's almost immediately in love, just from the dream, because he keeps having it for so long, over and over again, the same dream. So I thought that was kind of a romantic little thing, which I probably would read the book just simply because I would like to find out more about their relationship, if there was a lot more of their relationship in there, because to me, I thought they did a really good job at showing the chemical attraction between the two, and the fact that she fell in love with him even though she didn't dream of him. He was already in love with her before he even met her. It just was solidified when he saw her with his own eyes and she spoke to him. So I thought that was a really, really good part of the movie that I enjoyed.
There's a few scenes that this movie has that are just magical, and pretty much every time for me where you see the scenes where the ship is unloading people,
that's a camera trick in progress. I'm trying to find how they did that.
Well, I thought they did a really good job. The showing the unique shapes of the ships and stuff like that. I thought that was interesting. It to me, it reminded me a little bit of I was trying to remember, was it Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
Maybe it was that movie. There was a couple other movies that came out, I guess, made by the same people or something. I don't know, but it seemed to me that they all use the same type of special effect ideas or something like that. So that because the ships, the way the ships designs and stuff looked to me were similar. So I don't know if it was exactly, but it was similar to me. So I don't know.
Interesting to say. I just found some production shots here. As soon as I get them paused properly, I'll show you guys what I'm looking for. There's that. There's that. Okay.
But the whole thing, the one scene, I wanted to talk about this earlier and I forgot. The one scene where the Duke and his son are putting on their water suits, the desert suits, and they show him how to put it on and the use of it is to how to reprocess your urine and your sweat and everything so that you can save the moisture from your body so that you can survive for long periods in the desert. I thought that was really good. But the fact that when they showed Paul Atreides wearing his and he was on properly and he was impressed by it, he was like, wow. And then you hear his thoughts about, could he be the one? Things like that. I thought all that type of stuff was really, really good, the way that they did that part of it. And the suit, I wish I could have made a suit as cool as that one, but I couldn't. It was just a lot of elaborate detail because I got online and was looking at it and stuff. And you can't even find one. I mean, they are so expensive to even buy one that is, authentic looking, like that you could use in cosplay or whatever. So I had to improvise with mine, but it was fun looking into it and figuring out how they did some of this stuff. Here, I'll be quiet so you can show that.
So go back to this scene here. Nice miniature set.
Mm-hmm.
I love how this is all compromised. They've got, again, with the fucking pugs. I know you guys like pugs. I don't like pugs. He's got a pug right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's lots of scenes with a pug in it. It's like they're trying to escape, so they're taking a dog with them. Yep. I thought that was, this little things like that I thought was kind of different.
Damn. Trying to find a scene where everybody's coming out of the ships. Well, basically, there we go. Right here, This is all a rig put in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
This is a giant, not even giant rig. This is a piece put in front of a camera. Over here, there's a doorway far off in the distance, and that's basically all the camera can see. They've got it perspective locked so that they can't move the camera, but you're seeing everything in over here approaching the doorway, and you've got this ship in front of the camera, and that was how they filmed that.
But do you see the shape of the ship?
Yeah.
Each of the ships, even the Emperor's ship, is shaped like a pyramid type shape. So, and then the shape of the ships for the Harkonnen are shaped like flying hammers or something. They're all the detail they went into for the little ships and everything. I thought was really, really impressive. Even though when you get away from it and you have the backdrop behind it, it kind of looks kind of hokey. But for the time that it came out, I think that was really impressive. But the fact that they worked so hard to give you the details with all the different ships, because each of these planets had their own, unique style of building and technologies and stuff. And I thought that was really, really good, the way that they did that.
Fairly impressed with a lot of this film's creation. There's some parts of the story that I don't really like. I mean, it's not perfect, but I'll have to read the books from everything that's been stated. This is a very good, complex film, and it echoes the first book really well. It has a little bit of Children of Dune in it, from what I've read, and if there's more to read, it's by Frank Herbert. You can read something not Frank Herbert and still get a good story. The majority of those by Brian Herbert, stay away from. I've insulted my chat. Sorry, guys. He unleashed the jihad. I gotta highlight this. Sorry. The thing was, he's both a failed and improper messiah. He unleashes the jihad and sets the gears in motion, but then was a coward when faced with final steps, unable to face that pain of path. Yeah, that does happen. This film just they filmed this in Mexico. They had that's not in Texas for the most part. They had rubber suits on for the exterior shots, for the still suits. They did everything they were supposed to. They choreographed fights, invasions. They did charges wearing the still suits. Trying to, it'd be nice if it did cool you down a bit, but these are just props. There's no mechanics inside them to make your life happier. You get to wear a rubber suit in this movie. And then they're in Mexico, so they're kind of far away from Stan Winston's creature effects shop. They did what they could. They brought in some guy to do the special effects that was part of Stan Winston's kind of like upper circle, a peer of his. And he does good with the worms. The worms look great, I think. You have
I thought the worms are awesome.
You have the various shots where you have the forced perspective to look at the ship that is docked, but really it's just a rig on top of or in front of the camera, and you have people running into a doorway far away, like far away, over 1,000 meters. It's quite a ways. It's like at least a quarter mile.
Yeah.
So you have that, all these things, and they still kept the movie cohesive. Do I really like Aaliyah that much? No, she kind of grates on my nerves. The very ending scenes with her and the Bene Gesserit, and then later with Baron Harkonnen, perfect. I'm not saying she's a great actress, but I like the way she acted there. Kyle MacLachlan sold this as, I am a 25-year-old man playing a 15-year-old kid, and he does it. He nails it.
I didn't know he was supposed to be 15. Yeah. I believe that he was like 18, maybe 18 years old. Old enough to take over as a man.
I watched a fist fight in Peoria, Illinois happen because two guys couldn't have a civil conversation about the Dune movie while they're playing the Dune board game, which later became Imperius Rex, the board game.
Yeah.
But they were playing this board game, and it was a friendly rivalry they had, but then one of them started making bad statements about the movie that the other did not support. And then whenever people were talking about this to other people, well, yeah, I mean, he was an idiot. He was talking about the Harkonnens like this. And I'm thinking, I'm actually witnessing this. This guy got into a real life fist fight, almost endangered himself with pain of a felony and such. But instead, he's, and the people around it were like, just, oh yeah, well, you got to be right whenever you're talking about Dune. Okay. I love how everything's filmed here. I think the director of photography, if nothing else, this movie deserved an award for that. All the practical shots, all of the various in-camera effects they did, even the crappy CGI with the block fighting. I thought that was cool.
No, I thought that made it unique. I didn't think that was bad at all because it just showed the technology that they had. Just like I said, each planet had their own
Different.
technology advancement through their, you know, their beginning of their planet and how the people evolved and what they came up with. That's why the ships were all different, and that's why their weapons were different, and the way they dressed, the way they decorated their homes, everything. And I like that. I love the detail they went through to make sure to show the differences between each of the planets. And that's what I really liked. And the cool little outfits that they wore, and the fact that his shields that produce when they push those buttons on their clothes to make that bulky looking thing for them to fight by using those to protect them. And I thought that was pretty cool because it reminded me a lot of Roblox. You know, it kind of looked like that. Or what's that other one that kids play?
Minecraft.
Minecraft. Yeah, it looked like some of those creepers or whatever in Minecraft. But it was cool because Minecraft is the future. You know what I mean? From when I was young, there wasn't Minecraft. We didn't have that technology. So I just thought it was really cool. I thought the showing, just like I said, when they got to the planet, that the desert planet, the technology was very limited compared to the other planets. And I think that was on purpose to keep people from being able to take things that don't belong to them.
Well, they also
which
just
was
had
spice.
the jihad not long before this.
Uh-huh.
Where the jihad was they went to war against all the thinking machines, and they had brought in mentats. They made turn men into living computers, basically, and like they would have to become facts and figures people, and you know, your legal counsel, and they did all this. So you have a very strange and altered world from what we know and think is normal. And Chimerian says Paul Atreides is 15 at the start of the film and 23 to 25 at the very end, which makes sense.
Well, it seemed like time was going by. I mean, it had to be time for them to build up the armies, train everyone. You know, it's not going to happen like in 2 weeks. Everybody's ready to go to war, you know. And the fact that you know, he had to learn how to capture his own worm and be able to ride its back, all that stuff. It's not something you can just snap your finger and know how to do. I mean, it seemed like everyone had to evolve, you know, on their own to a certain degree. But the little boys didn't seem like they aged very much, did they?
No, they'd kept them off screen a lot of the movie because
I know
9 years would pass and they're still ages 13 and 14.
So I just thought now the little girl aged because from birth to the however big she was when she was walking and talking and very powerful. So that showed you that time was going by. But the two little boys, they looked the same age from when they were there at his father's funeral. And then at the end when they were, you know, about to fight the thing, you know, with the worms and all that stuff, they weren't that much bigger. So to me, that part of it, I don't know if that was a mistake in editing or what, you know what I mean? To not evolve with the children, besides just the little girl that had all the, you know, magical powers because she had such a strong mind. So I don't know.
There's a few other things about this film I really like. I like the worms. The worms are probably the part of the film that I still think are just amazing, even though I know how they made that, how they did that. The worms are just badass. I really like Jose Ferrer as the Emperor Shaddam IV. As far as support characters go, he really just sells the shit out of his role. He does a very good job in letting you know he's not a goody two shoes towards the 2/3 part of the movie. I mean, you don't think he's a good person anyway, but whenever it's revealed what he plans to do to Paul Atreides, that was great.
Yeah, the one of the scenes that I really did like that I guess was the one I was talking about that was added to it was the part where they showed you the where they got the water of life.
Mhm.
right? So you got to see what one of the worms looked like, even though it was a small baby worm. That it was what it looked like when it was clean and moist and not dried out from the desert. It was darker in color, and it had it just looked, it was just really cool. I thought that they did a really good job at showing you what a wet one would look like compared to one that's dried out in the desert, just like I said about when we watched Tremors, and you got to see those three things come out of its mouth and come up out of the ground and was swimming around in that moisture, trying to find out if there was somebody standing over there, if they could get anything, because it landed on the ground. I thought that was just really cool because it gave you two different points of view on the creature that we're seeing over and over again in this movie. I thought that was really good. I liked it.
I watched this yesterday for the first time, and I'm still laughing about this. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're talking about
Feeding
Futurama?
Futurama's feeding time for Leonard Nimoy. I know that sounds bad, but
Oh, about all the heads in the jars?
yeah, and they call it a museum.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
The parts of this movie, the Spice Driver edit, I really want to concentrate on some of the things that you see here more than anything else. You have the addition of Hara. The boys are explained. There's a little bit more context that's brought into play. It's an hour longer than the theatrical cut, I believe. The theatrical cut should be like 2 hours and maybe 20 minutes. This is a 2 hours, 58-minute film.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really see Jameis go after Paul Atreides in the theatrical release. You don't even see that in the least bit. They added that in this and in the quote-unquote director's cut. I think that fight is important, although the context of what happens afterwards, with the passing of the water, I thought it was just very rich with culture.
Mm-hmm.
I do like how Aaliyah gets in the heads of the Bene Gesserit lady at the very end, and even
Yeah,
though
I like
that's
that
something
too.
we saw that in the theatrical version, but that's just
Uh-huh.
there's more of a punchy reward. You get more impact in this version because Aaliyah is explained a little more, not much more, but they explain more about her in this version too. And therefore, you get an idea that she's not just she's got a little bit of telepathy or the ability to read minds. No, she's broadcasting herself front and center in people's heads, and
Yeah, and the fact that she wasn't evil like some of the other ones that we got to see, that they were using their powers to hurt people instead of trying to help the people. So I thought that was really good, being able to do that with her character because of who her parents were. It made her a better person than the other one. I like that.
Yeah. Chimerian is a very good critic for this film because he knows the books pretty much not inside and out, but he's read them a lot. When you're a bored man in the middle of Peoria, Illinois, when you're growing up, Dune's a good sanctuary. I thought this movie does a really good job of handling the story that it should within the 3 hour context of it. I think it does pretty good with that. There's a lot here that's left out, and you kind of have that feeling that there's stuff left out, but it's there for a reason. And if you want to go discover it, just go to the library, go to the store, go get your own books. So do what I did, order online. This is a fantastic movie as far as movies go. The Spice Diver edit is an expanded version of the theatrical version that you guys liked, or at least appreciated. And this, I think, is like it's not perfect. It tries, and it does a really good job of getting close because David Lynch understood the limitations that he was working with. Movie is a visual medium. He couldn't have the weirding way on display in this because it just looks like some silly kung fu stuff, and he needs something that's got a bridge from our world into theirs. So having them all be sound powered sonic boom guns, that would work. And I thought that was pretty okay. It's not the smartest thing, but it worked in its context. And I think I would have liked the Jedi-ish or the kung fu moments a little bit more as well. but I didn't get to see those. So I can just hypothesize what would be done in 1983 when they film it in Mexico, far away from like a lot of accredited schools or martial arts academies that I know of. Probably wouldn't be that great. It would probably, if they were doing people to do group ground combat with the weirding way, I don't think it would look that good. And so I kind of
Mhm.
appreciate the guns with the way this movie sets it up. It makes a few cuts here and there in the books that are very obvious. For those of you that read the books, I got schooled last night. Um, Thank you, Kai. I mean, I didn't realize so much was missing. He really went in
Mhm.
depth on it. This film for me is a guilty pleasure. I enjoy watching this movie while I screw with these minis. I mean, that was all I did this weekend was paint more and more figs, and ran a game on Saturday. But this is a perfect film if you like sci-fi, because it covers the young fan of sci-fi. It goes through the coming of age story. You have
Mhm.
revenge plots. You have a rich tapestry of different power groups, which in this case it would be actually the Navigation Guild and the other five houses. It just it does a good service for showing off this universe. It's a good sampler. I don't understand
Mhm.
why people didn't get this. My mom and dad think it's a boring ass movie. I think it's perfect. I mean, for what it is, I mean, it does good. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe.
I like what was the name of the creature that there's the real powerful giant fish like gross blob thing that had all the people that had runny noses and holes in their head. They look like Borg.
Oh, you're talking the Navigator.
Yeah, the navigator. Okay, the navigator looked like once it maybe had been a human or whatever, and it had been on spice for so long that it slowly just it turned into a big blob brain head thing. Okay, and it didn't want to lose its power, so basically it corrupted as many entities as it could from multiple places to be able to keep the flow of the spice so they can live forever. So basically, we don't know how old it was, right? In the book, at least in the movie, no one knows how old this blobby, gross, disgusting thing that everybody said it looked like a vagina mouth or something. I don't know. Remember, you guys were talking about it. We were watching it. But the thing is, that's what I got from it. I got from it that it was some creature that became very powerful over time due to the spice and was not going to let it go, was not going to let anyone get in their way to keep from getting it. And I was surprised that it itself didn't want to come to the island and control everything, or not the island, but the planet, and just control it all themselves because it's the only place they can get it. So I just thought that whole concept of it being so strong that it could uh, shape or move time, fold time and everything, like it was saying, so it could go from one galaxy to another and one planet to another by folding time and stuff like that. I just thought, and that was due to the spice use, right?
Yep.
So that whole concept, when it was explaining that and talking about it, I thought that was really, really good. And that wasn't in the original movie, was it?
No.
Yeah, see, to me, that opened up a huge gap that I had not understanding exactly, since I hadn't read the books, to understand the concept of how powerful the spice was and why so many planets wanted it and they would do anything to get it. We kill, maim, steal, take over anyone they had to get the spice to where they could get it whenever they need it. There's buku's amounts of it. I mean, it was so important to this blob brain, whatever you want to call it, that it made its people suck it up off the ground. You know what I mean? So it was important, and he was gross.
Here was the first failed Dune shots that they decided to go against. They were not going to go for this. Just joking. That's actually still from Street Fighter, 1980.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't recognize any of those people.
Well,
from
that
the
was
movie.
Van Damme in front and center, but
And plus, I didn't know they had spandex then, but maybe they did.
hold on.
I guess they did have spandex because what was it? Jane Fonda or whatever had spandex.
That's
Oh, it's
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
yeah, but the girl, I was looking at the girl's pants.
Oh,
She's wearing spandex.
She's had those since the first game she was in.
So I was like,
it's all right.
okay.
I'll see
But-
myself out now. This is a that was just a joke, guys. But this is a great film, and if you like the first Dune movie and you've never seen the Spice Diver edit, you should
Hey,
watch it.
that's a great thing. I never even thought about it being cinnamon. Because a couple of times Paul Atreides smells his fingers and he makes comments when the people are coming into the little shuttle when they went down and stopped the worm from killing them all. And his dad was having them get into their shuttle, and he could smell the spice on them. He was very sensitive to it and stuff. So it really was intriguing, but I wish I would have thought about that last night when I was watching it, the smell of cinnamon and how that might have been what they were smelling and what he was smelling on his hands and stuff, or paprika or something. I wish I'd thought about that because I didn't, but he did mention it quite a few, excuse me, I got the hiccups again, quite a few times in the during the movie. He talked about the smell of it and the when he ate that piece of candy. I guess it was a piece of candy and it was spice, and he was talking about what it tasted like, and the way he was going to feel when he ate it, things like that. I thought it was that was very good detail to add so that the person watching it kind of understand a little bit about why it's so such an important commodity that so many people are willing to kill each other over it. Because we do that here for money, right? Money and diamonds or, whatever.
I saw this scene here and I thought, wow, they're going to actually do a cremation scene on this. And the first time you watch this, you're like, wow, they really go full out on this film. And here's where the little boys you meet the little boys for the first time, basically here.
Mm-hmm.
But
see, look how young he looked.
Yeah.
See how young he looked, like maybe 18-year-old kid when he turned and saw those two boys and the wife or the widow.
And she, she's having her last moments with her husband. And I think this is just, far and above beyond anything we've seen up until this point. Even the Return of the Jedi scene with Darth Vader's pyre in the forest didn't hit me like this. I just was struck stupid when I'm watching this scene as the mother's trying to console her kids and the kids are being given knives to put on daddy's casket. This is, you don't have films like this. I can't think of another film where they actually do this with the family and they give you 3 to 4 minutes where like you had a bit part and we're going to have the funeral for him now. That was crazy. And this movie just.
But the reason I liked it is because it showed the whole process, showed you they can't take the people out and bury them in the desert, okay? No. Because they would be eaten by your people would be eaten while you're trying to bury your loved ones. And the fact that they collect the moisture that rises up from the body after it's cremated, and then they save it and give it to the family because it belongs to them, because it was their loved one that died. And that's the moisture that gave him life. And because we're 98% moisture is what our bodies are made out of. It's hard to believe that, but that's what science says about us. So I thought that whole concept was very important to put in there in the movie, because it does show why they are the way they are. Just like a person spitting on the ground, most people would look at it as an insult, but these people don't, because when you swap spit with somebody, that means that you're real important. You know what I mean? So I thought that whole thing was really, really good about the way that they showed you how they've evolved and why they've evolved that way, because there is no moisture. They don't have rain, so your body fluids are more valuable than money. you know?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really good concept to show you how they take care of their dead. So I thought that was a very good detail to add. I really liked it. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie was that. And the one with him in the hall, standing above all his people.
Yeah.
As their new leader. I thought that was really, really good too. Liked it.
Yeah, Chimerian says they don't show you that Paul marries her and adopts those kids as his, although it does say that. They don't really show it much. You don't see the slow work to make her tolerate Paul or everybody singing his memories after Jameis's death. That is pretty fucking powerful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been nice to have that, but then we have a 4-hour movie because we just gave 10 minutes to Jameis's death, a guy we saw for a minute in the edited version, the fan edit version. This is a type of thing that you should expect when you watch this movie. And this, I know we probably should not be, complaining or negative to people trying to honor fantasy licenses or literary licenses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying forgive Amazon. I'm not, but I'm telling you, I will never tell you to forgive Amazon. I'll tell you to tear up your account, never buy from them again. Fuck you, Amazon.
Yeah.
And then the reason why I say that is basically 1, Wheel of Time, 2, Rings of Power. And you hear about a fantasy movie that's in production that is going to be based on one of your favorite literary works. Send out a hello to them. Follow the guys on social media. Say, listen, I've read this book series 20 or 30 times. I really hope you guys do a good job with it, and we're behind you if you do it right. We're going to be there for you season after season or sequel after sequel. Don't fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a dedicated fan base that wants to see this done right. And that's what I'm trying to tell people, like, listen, don't harass, but let them know that you're hoping that season 3 of She-Hulk doesn't suck so bad like the first 2 did. Did you finally get rid of that one retarded lady, the retarded Oriental girl that can't write a fucking superhero? Did you get rid of her? Because she fucked up your first 2 seasons, and we hope that season 3 of She-Hulk is a return to the comic joy that we all love. And I think that would be a better story than you going out making 5,000 10-minute videos about how She-Hulk is shit and don't watch it. Well, I get off on people's misery, so when I'm feeling down, I watch videos like that, like, oh, the Last Jedi was bad, oh, She-Hulk was terrible. Blah. No, get kind of out of that mindset, because we have evolved in the past 5 or 6 years. I would like to see you guys like be a force for good, and what I mean by force for good, where like you're telling people like, hey, we will reward you with the funding you want if you make a good show. We'll be back. We'll buy toys. We'll buy lunch boxes for our kids if you don't fuck this up. And if you see people that are making like a Dune 3 or something, let them know, listen, the first 2 movies were really good. They showed everything from Paul's perspective, which is not really the movie I wanted to watch because the book isn't like that, but they did fairly good. So please just continue. And if there's any way you could bring in Jason Momoa for the 3rd film, my wife would really like that. Make sure his shirt comes off clean his body. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's like every woman's dream right there. But I think by being a positive thorn in the side of these creators and letting them know, like, listen, we're just want good stuff. Can you make good stuff? I want you to make good product. I want you to make money if you're making Lord of the Rings stuff. I want you to make good money if you're making Wheel of Time stuff, because I would love to know the Wheel of Time better than what I do. I read the first book and I fell asleep so many times trying to read that book. It's not my favorite at all. There's worse books out there, but Wheel of Time, I just don't understand how that became a phenomenon. But it is what it is. And I had a lot of good friends that actually played the Wheel of Time D20 RPG, and we all enjoyed that world together, not according to the canon, but from the source books that they made, we enjoyed it. So having Amazon butcher it to beyond belief was just a pain. And watching everything happen in the past 5 or 7 years has been painful. Actually, watching Star Wars die in 2012 was painful.
Yeah.
Shut up now. I really, I think David Lynch is probably one of my favorite directors. After seeing this, and after seeing, I mean, I know he didn't really help with the editing for the Spice Diver version, but he was there probably 99% of the time behind the camera watching things, going, cut, that looked good, we'll keep it. Cut, that looked good, we'll keep it. And then he takes things to the editing room, and the here's the studio fucking up everything because they don't understand the book series, first off. And David Lynch doesn't really understand it, but he likes what he's read so far. And he can only go so far on it. He can only do so much. But this Dune Spice Diver edit, out of all the versions I've watched, probably the one I keep going back to. I will say that Momoa was a boss in the first Dune movie, but his character is not fated for a long life. Just don't get attached to him, ladies. That's all I'm going to say. This. Oh shit, we're at an hour and 40 minutes already. I'm sorry. Chat, put your scores in the chat so we can read them off.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
There really wasn't a lot that I noticed that I thought every single thing that they added to this movie made it better. I didn't see anything that they did when they updated it or whatever that made it worse. In fact, I thought it was better to me that from what I can remember from the original, because they added details that I wish they had put in it the first time I saw it, because it made it a lot easier to understand what was actually going on with the characters in between the characters. Just like you said about the wife being, the wife being able to be there for her husband. I thought that was an important scene, not just because it had the wife, but the fact showing you the way that they dealt with their fallen soldiers, and how they what they did with the collecting the water from their body, because it's just like when you bury someone and you bury their wedding ring or a necklace that the husband might have given her, things like that. You're burying as a tribute to the person that passed away. You're putting it in there with them for eternity, basically for their eternity. But on this planet, there really isn't a place to bury people, to keep them to where you can go back and visit their grave and talk to them and think about them and reminisce. So basically, you're giving their gift of their water to have in as a replacement for their loss of their body, which I thought was genius, a really genius way of showing how much they were worth to you because of the moisture that they were going to have to help replenish the planet or whatever type of thing. I just thought that whole concept was really good. But to me, my favorite scene in this movie is still the whole thing when they showed how the water of life was made and why it was so powerful that most people could take a few drops of it and die from ingesting it because it was so powerful. So I just thought that was I just loved it. I'm so glad they added that, because I think that made the whole movie more believable about the whole concept of a spice planet and having these ginormous creatures that over time have become so big simply because that's their home. They basically control everything that has to do with this planet simply because they're the top predator. We aren't. The humans were not, or the Fremen or whatever. I guess the Fremen were the original people from the planet until somebody found out about how powerful the spice was, and then they sent people there to start mining it, basically. And by mining it, they were taking an important commodity that the worms needed. So the worms didn't like them being there to take the spice either. So, because without the spice, I don't think they would even live. And who knows how old they were, because they didn't even talk about that. But you knew they were pretty old because some of them were humongous. I mean, they were giant. And then they were breeding, because if they were able to get their hands on a small worm to be able to make the special water that the witches would drink and things like that for different rituals. So I just thought that whole scene was really cool, and getting to see a worm actually wet. I just thought that was I just loved it. I don't know why, but something about that whole thing, the rejuvenation of the planet, basically through the baby worms. I thought that was just really ingenious. The vision that they wanted to portray to us watching the movie. I thought that was really good. Welcome back. I talked the whole time you were gone.
I've had some fun trips.
Wow.
Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. My PC decided that while I was typing on it, the cord got too excited and came out. So,
But also the fact that they added in between each story, they put in a quote from the
like, this is book 1, this is book 2.
Yeah, for the different books. So I thought that was pretty good, because that wasn't in the original, was it?
Not in the original, no. Not in the.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So just little things like that, but everything that was added to the movie is what I was saying was, it didn't take away from the movie at all. I think it added to it. I think it made it even better than the original, by what these people did, which was wonderful, because you could tell they loved this story so much they wanted to make it as complete as they possibly could for future watchers. And I think that they should be rewarded for that. They couldn't get paid for it or anything, though, right? Because of
They couldn't get paid. Not for this.
Well, they're getting paid by knowing that many more fans are going to watch it throughout time or whatever, and be going, damn, that was really good. Especially if they read the books. That's the one good thing about books, is that they never age out. You know what I mean? Because each person that reads a book is going to have their own vision of it put together in their mind from the detail that they get out of it through the story that they're reading. So nothing's better than your own imagination.
Now, here's the start of the reviews we have from our chat tonight. Thank you for putting these in, guys. 8 out of 8.5 with a heavy bias. He loves it. He loves the franchise. That's perfectly okay. 9 over the 8 of the original for the added details. Okay, Kai is a very big fan of the books. I mean, he's and he agrees that the Spice Diver edit adds so many small details that you don't see too much anymore. The Crafting Gamer, hey David, how you doing? We get 9.8 out of 10. That's almost a perfect score.
Yeah,
that is a Hawaiian gymnast on the Aussie Man channel. You guys know what I'm talking about. Flady, this movie I give 11 out of 10. The lower quality special effects I find endearing and reminds me of the time it was made. Yeah, the ornithopter scenes are the only part of it that actually pull me out. Seriously, the ornithopters that looks like the worst part of the movie, the cheapest part. There are some miniature effects that you can definitely do. Oh, that's a miniature, but they still look pretty good. The ornithopter, though, you can see that's like a projection unit that they use to put that over the scenery when it's going over that, and it's all right. It's okay. It's just not great. And this movie came out the same year, I believe, as E.T., didn't it?
I don't remember.
I think so.
I don't remember.
E.T. was 84. I believe E.T. was 84. E.T. movie.
Oh, are you looking it up? Because I was about to get my
Yeah.
phone, start looking it up
No
myself.
crap. 1982 American sci-fi film. That's right. It was out the same year as Blade Runner and The Thing, and it smashed those two movies.
Yeah, but see, Blade Runner, some of the special effects in it, I thought were like way ahead of this movie. So I was surprised when you told me that it came out before this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Did it
Blade
must have?
Runner.
Did it have a higher budget?
I think it does.
Yeah, I was going to say the only thing that to me that shocked me about that was the fact that I was thinking, well, it must not have had near the money to spend on it because um, just those little details with the model, like you said, it wasn't the model, the little ship that made me uh, get pulled out of the actual scene. It was the shadow going over the mountaintops and stuff that made me realize it wasn't real. You know what I mean? Because the shadow was so huge
Yeah.
over this certain things like that. So just little details like that. But I still, just like I said, why I love independent film is that you have to really work at what you want and how you want it to, what did you want it to look like, because they don't have just gore tons of money to throw at it to make whatever fake thing they needed on a computer instead of being able to make it with a prop. And I love that. That's one of the reasons why I love Star Trek and the second generation, because of like Gordy's glasses or a banana clip,
Yeah.
just little things like that, that someone use their imagination to bring it to life. And that's what I like about it. And that to me doesn't take away from a movie. Okay. I'm not going to degrade it a lot simply because it's special effects didn't have the money, the budget. It's the fact that they spent a little extra time coming up with something to get something out of nothing, basically. And that to me deserves a little more of something than someone who can just push a few buttons and make a graphic picture or whatever on a computer and then print it out and say, oh, that's CGI, whatever. To me, that isn't, that isn't like creativity. That's just pushing a few buttons and the computer's doing it for you. I like better when they have to use their hands and build something to make it real for your imagination. And I thought that was great. So I wouldn't take anything away from the movie because of that.
Now, the Blade Runner film was a 1982 release.
Mm-hmm.
This also was released the same day in states, I believe, as The Thing, June 25th,
Yeah.
82. But the budget for Blade Runner was $30 million. The box office was 41.6. Made a little bit of money, not a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably broke even in today's terms. Budget for Dune was 40 to 42 million, and it made up to 37.9 million in North America, including Mexico.
So it lost money.
Lost money.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that really killed it. That right there is why you didn't see anything until 2000 on Dune.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. I mean, if we go through all the chat here, people understand this film. They understand why this movie persists, and there's still people arguing about it, getting in fistfights nowadays at a board game meet.
Yeah.
This is the type of film that you fall in love with, and you're probably a younger kid, probably middle schooler watching it for the first time, and it just speaks to you because there's a lot in this film that as a young man, a young person would see themselves as Paul Atreides. Like, I'm 15 too, or I'm 12 too, and I'm trying to be the sleeper. I need to awaken. And they put that mindset behind them, and they want to do cool things, and then you have the moments where they get their voice and they start to use it, and that for me, that I'm explaining as to why I fell in love with the movie Dune as a kid, because I wanted to have that power whenever I spoke. I think a lot of us did, and it spoke to me quite plainly. And finally, here I am, almost 50, getting ready to open the books for the first time. I'm going to have a lot of fun. because I tell you what, I didn't read the Lord of the Rings movies until I was in my 30s.
Mhm.
I had the book since I was 26, but didn't read them until my 30s, and that was a blast. I missed out on so much. And Kai can kick me in the head next time he sees me just for like, you're an idiot, read more books. But this, I'm going to have fun reading the Dune series because this is a series of books that nobody has told me negative things about. Obviously, they've done their job to get fans, and it is a movie that feels like it's gotten closer to the source material. I've watched it without reading the books, so I don't have the bias of the books. But my friends who have read the books say this is the absolute way to watch it if you're going to watch this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I definitely like this new version of it. I thought it was way better. I really do. I think it added the small details that they probably left on the cutting room floor when they first put it out. I think if they had had this version back then, it would have made way more money. Because more people would have left going, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, or this, that, and the other, instead of going and saying, I don't understand it. And my score, am I supposed to do my score now?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I'm going to give it a 9 out of a 10. And the only reason I'm not going to give it a 9.5 is because of my feelings about the whole fact that she drank the water of life knowing she was pregnant. So I just have a really hard time with that. I know that has nothing to do with the way the movie was made, but it does have everything to do with the way the script was written and how they juggled her character around. So they had her 1 minute bending over backward to protect her son, but she doesn't do anything to protect her unborn child. So I don't know. I just had a really hard time with that.
See that I can understand your frustration with that, but at the same time, the unborn child bit, like, she understood that for 9 months she was going to have a kid, and now that her life is topsy turvy, I think she did her best to just write it out. Just do your best. Don't try to rock the boat on things. Let's see where this goes. And I think Lady Jessica wasn't expecting all the trauma that happened.
Yeah, but you remember when they were in the shuttle and the guy was getting ready to kind of rape her, and the son was trying to rape. I know, but remember when the son said he tried to use the voice, right, to get him to remove his mother's gag?
Yep.
And so the thing is, at that time, she knew she was pregnant. Okay. And when they take over the ship, because they get the guy to kill himself and kill the other guy, she can feel when her husband's murdered. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and so does Paul. So she knew at that time she could never have another child with him. Their relationship, their romance is over with. Her life is over. So I could see why, because she lost the love of her life, why she would want to become the lead Jesuit soothsayer or whatever. Yeah. So I could see why she would do that. But the fact that she did it knowing if she only waited a few more months, she could give birth to a healthy daughter, but she knew it was a girl. I don't know. I just have a hard time buying it. It's just not, there's not enough there to make me believe that her character would do that, because the character that I saw before that part would do anything for her son. Like, she would do anything for her husband or her partner.
Spouse.
And she told him that night before they made love that this is her chance. This is their last chance to be able to have a child, another child or whatever, when they were going to make love. And she knew she was going to get pregnant. So I don't know. To me, it just didn't make any sense. It was like they rushed her into something that she wasn't supposed to be in because they were running out of time or whatever. They made changes to the script to fit that in, when I just don't think it should have happened the way that it did, even though I know it was in the story because the girl was very powerful and she was supposed to be powerful. But I didn't like the way they went about doing it. If they'd forced her to drink it or something, then it would have been more believable to me about her taking the risk upon her child. I don't know. I just have a hard time with that. Well, I'm just being honest about what I see.
I'm not gonna say that you're wrong. Okay.
No, I know you're not going to, but I'm giving it a 9 though, because I think it overall it's a phenomenal story, beautiful costumes, beautiful sets. The actors are phenomenal, and there's so many of them. There's so many actors in one movie, which you don't get that very often, that are all very good at their characters, very believable, and everything about it I loved. I thought everything else about it was spot on. I just really enjoyed this whole movie, and I think that every single thing they added to this movie made it even better. So that's how
I could watch this movie quite often, and I do. I probably watch it every 6 months right now. This is one of my 6-month films. This Big Trouble in Little China, and probably Death Wish 3, which doesn't belong in there, but it does. It is.
Die Hard's not in there.
No, not Die Hard. Death Wish 3. Death Wish 3 is my absolute favorite schlock movie of all time. And I mean, if you're gonna go for good schlock, go for the good stuff. And I love watching Old Man Bronson just kind of run through town. He moseys through town in this movie, but he's just such a fun guy to watch and just do stuff in Death Wish 3. Those 3 films I watch every 6 months. And a friend of mine got me access to a Plex server, so I can watch even more bad movies more often. But until then, before I give my score, which you guys are, I'm assuring you it's not a 12%. On Sundays, starting at 4:30 in the Discord, if you want to watch Futurama, we're starting with season 1. We made it through the first 4 episodes, and we're going to watch it all the way to the very end. Periodically, Janet and I will have discussions about the seasons, so it's going to be a little bit more time. You have to listen to me laugh more, but we're watching the Futurama from the very start, and just based off what I've seen in these first few episodes we've put down as of yesterday, I am so happy and thankful, and I got to give a shout out to my friend Baron G Rock. He's got the server up for me, and he's got it to where I can select what I need to in order to do movie prep or show prep. And Futurama has been on the hard drive for probably 7 years, and I've never looked at it. And I just started looking at it yesterday, and wow, I don't know of any cast members that have died from Futurama. I was going to say Brittany Murphy, but no, she was King of the Hill. But this movie this TV series has a lot of real heart in it, and I think I really gotta say thank you to Baron G Rock and to Janet for pushing me to watch it for the first time.
I just think it's a phenomenal show. I mean, it's very well written. The characters are great. They're funny. It's got a little of everything in it. I just can't wait to get to watch one whole season.
Yeah, I honestly I think that this is there's very few TV shows that compare to the movie or the TV series The Wire. But this show, it's comedic, but it is really well done. Lady, you didn't have to do that. I really appreciate you doing that. He just threw a $20 super chat at us, which he didn't have to do that, sir. Grab yourself some coffee.
That's so sweet.
Thank you for all the entertainment. Wish would have
Thank
found
you.
Dude, we just it just happened, okay? And you didn't have to do that. Like I said, that'll go to the fund to help out the guys that need it, the guys without the functioning 4 limbs. Part of this movie's real appeal for me is that right there
that the soundtrack?
That's the soundtrack for Dune.
Yeah, it had good music.
I don't want to get copyright claim, but I love everything about this movie. Even though they don't have $200 million and a secured contract from Kenner to make toys that are 3.5 inches tall for the articulated joints and all that, this is a fantastic film. And this movie should stand head and shoulders with other sci-fi great films of the 80s and of that generation. I think that there's 5 films that if you like sci-fi, there's going to be somebody here that will disagree with me, and that's fine. The Last Starfighter, Blade Runner,
Yeah,
The Thing, 1982,
of course.
Dune,
Uh-huh.
and I just had a brain fart of the other 5th sci-fi film, but it's not E.T.
Alien.
It's Aliens, actually.
Yeah, Aliens.
Those 5 films for me are like the sacred 5. And when we do reviews of those movies, like they're not below an 89. I don't remember what I rated Last Starfighter. I think it was like an 84, but that was a pretty low 84. That should be bumped up to an 88. This movie's a 90 out of 100. So yeah, 9 out of 10. I mean, this is like one of the.
I have to add Galaxy Quest to that. Sorry.
I'm going
My list.
No, that's fine. You can, but that's 1997.
Oh,
I'm going for a span from 1982 to 1986.
okay.
I mean, just for those 5 years, you had 5 of the greatest sci-fi films of all time, which showcased great special effects. And you even have one of those movies being basically the progenitor of the CGI phenom, which is fine. But I'm not talking about Last Starfighter because it had great special effects. It really doesn't. But what that movie has is a lot of heart and good characters and an engaging story and a theme song that everybody gets it in their head whenever you say it. That and the funny thing is that the love theme and the main theme are the same song, but just the love theme is slowed down because they didn't have budget. Those 5 films are integral for your sci-fi viewing habits. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to mandate every 3 months you have to watch them, but if you were to have a sci-fi day in your house with your family, if you've got grandkids that they like stuff like that, it would not be a bad idea to have them watch quality stuff. And those 5 films are completely it. This is a fantastic film. 9 out of 10 for me, 90%. This is a improved version over the theatrical release, which I would give it probably a 74. But because of all the things that they added to this movie, the scene with Jean-Luc Picard playing the stringed instrument, because you have, and it looks kind of like a guitar neck. I don't even know if that's a lute, but he's just jamming out on it.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, and then, behind the scenes, when Pat Stewart and Sting met up for the first time at breakfast at the hotel, Pat Stewart's like, "I've never heard of you, Sting," and Sting's like, "Oh, well, I'm a musician, and oh, that's interesting. What instrument do you play?" And Sting's like, "I'm the lead singer for the band The Police," and Stewart's like, "Who the fuck is that?" he has no idea.
Yeah.
He's from the UK and he's not into.
And he's a lord, wasn't he? Isn't he a lord or something?
No, he's not a lord. He was knighted.
Knighted. Yeah, he was knighted. I remember
in the 90s or early 2000s. But in '84, he had no idea who Sting is. And here he is sitting down with one of the most influential pop musicians of the 80s generation. And he's like, "I don't even know who you are. What's your name? Sting?" That sounds like Hobbit shit. It's just he's dogging him a little bit. And Sting's like, "Yeah, that wasn't really too fun." I thought it was somebody cool, but
I was really impressed with Sting. I thought he was great. I thought he was great for his character. the part where my favorite scene of him in the movie was him when he comes out of the shower, the hot steam bath,
Mhm.
and then you see his uncle looking at him like he's wanting to just eat him up. It was gross. You know, it was like a gross, perverted, freaky looking vision. I mean, it just was gross. But I thought Sting did a phenomenal job at the
Yeah.
character that he portrayed. I didn't know he could even act.
I'm not
saw
done talking about this film. I mean, there's like parts of this movie that I could pass over easy. The ornithopter, the shading on that, or the
Mhm.
Aaliyah, where I kind of disagree with her character in some spots. But like the Harkonnens, first off, the soundtrack. I didn't mean to skip over the soundtrack. I'm sorry, guys.
Mhm.
To the Harkonnens, David Lynch could do the direction of just a TV series with 17 episodes per season of the Harkonnens, and we would have jism parties. We would have bukkake factories in our happy chair watching this, because watching David Lynch do the Harkonnens would be
Uh-huh.
fucking gold. Like he liked House Atreides. They were kind of cool. When he starts doing stuff with House Harkonnen, I mean, the memes from the House Harkonnen are so good. And I know that sounds like, Bruce, you are really current day on this. Well, shut up and let me explain to you something. The juice of Sapphire, or whatever that he does a recitation. That there's an even better one. It is by caffeine alone. I set my mind in motion. It is by the coffee bean that thoughts acquire speed, teeth acquire stains, the stains become a warning. It is by caffeine alone. I set my mind in motion. I love it. I fucking love it. This is such high good stuff. And why is that? David Lynch loves the Harkonnens. He loves
Uh-huh.
following around the Beast Raban as he tears off a part of a cow, the uncooked barbacoa.
It was a tongue. I thought he took his tongue out.
The tongue, or part of the what? Yeah, he did have the tongue in one shot, but I thought he tore the ear. I thought he took the ear off.
No,
Whatever
I thought it looked like it was the ear.
I thought it was
because I didn't see hair on it. It looked like it was just meat, like it was hanging out of its mouth, and he tore the tongue out and was eating it. It was gross. That's all I know. It was just
so
gross.
Good. And then so the Beast Raban is a real brute of a man, and God bless you, R.I.P. Paul Smith. He was Bluto in Popeye with Robin
Yeah,
Williams.
I remember him for that.
You have Peter, that guy that we just had on screen. That guy was fucking Grima Wormtongue. He was one of the best parts of the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm sorry.
Was he also in what was the name of the movie? Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I think he was.
Was he in one of those movies too?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what character he was. He just looked so familiar. I remember seeing him in lots of movies.
And then you have when they capture Thufir, and then the Sting is carrying down the cat down the endless flight of stairs. And
yeah,
he's carrying this cat in this contraption while Baron Harkonnen floats nearby, and he has to walk down the stairs without tripping over. That had to suck for Sting. I'm sorry. I was just looking at the logistics of that.
But that whole scene was really gross when you think about it. They had a pet rat taped to a cat in a cage, taped together. So I was really surprised that whoever, PETA or whoever, would let them have a rat and a cat taped together in a cage. I thought that was really interesting how they did that.
And Flady hits it. This is the other night. This movie is like Star Wars and Star Trek and Pretty in Pink getting in a row together. I mean, they're just all it's all over the place, and it's wonderful.
It was there was just some very interesting stuff all thrown in there. It was like whoever wrote the screenplay was definitely smoking something.
I love it. Like, I don't care if it was Cocaine Bear or Tequila Shark. I don't care. Like, whatever they were smoking, it was good.
Yeah.
Apart, yeah.
It all went together well.
Yeah, and this film just it doesn't really let up either. Whenever David Lynch is showing you the life of the Harkonnens, you can tell he really enjoyed those scenes because there's a lot more. I feel like we're watching some demented director that was in the editing room says, "Oh my God, I have 13 hours of Ozzy Osbourne stumbling around Joe Bidening before Joe Biden was a thing. Let me show you." And then you see all the uncut stuff from the Meet the Osbournes, where Ozzy's stumbling around, shitting himself, can't speak, and he's Joe Biden before Joe Biden. And that's why I have a real problem with both Ozzy and Joe Biden because I've seen this before, and it makes it so interesting. But then we get into the doctor popping the pustules of Baron Harkonnen. I love your skin, doctor, and he's just like the zits are exploding, and Baron's like, "Come on, hurry this up." Well, that felt
Because
pretty.
he said he loved his diseases.
Yeah, he looked the perfect petri dish. And then the fat guy starts floating around and he sees the young boy with the reverse mohawk. He's like, I'm going to go get a money shot on him and yank out his heart plug. And you see the money shot splatter on the wall. And then the little boy falls down to the ground after the Baron gets his rocks off. And it's like, this is a very disturbing film. When you're 9 years old, this is a great movie, by the way. And you get to see unrefined evil. This is just amazing amounts of debauchery, and David Lynch had everything perfect for the Harkonnens. As much as I do like watching Lady Jessica in her various gowns and her various flowing robes, Lady Jessica, yeah, Francesca Anna, you are beautiful. Thank God for you. We should be married with our like third or fourth kid right now. Anyway, um, that was a lot of fun, but the Harkonnens part of this movie, I think there's not a single person in this chat that would at least enjoy watching that part of the movie on repeat when you've had a bad day. You're like, well, at least I'm not that poor son of a bitch. And Ken McMillan, another talented actor, rest in peace. The other film he did where everybody should remember him was in Cat's Eye. He was trying to shoot James Woods off the side of the building with a fire hose. And I don't know if you remember that or not, but we'll have to review that one of these days so you can see this.
What was that movie?
Cat's Eye.
I remember that, but I didn't know James Woods was in
James
that.
Woods and Drew Barrymore were in that movie, and a very good little animated goblin, which it's got a claymation goblin in it. So of course we're going to review it in the future. You know me. This is a great the entire Harkonnens bit like that. I could talk for another 2 hours on of just all the various stuff that the mouse is taped to the cat.
Yeah, it was a big rat.
He has to milk
Taped to the cat's back.
And
I can't believe they got away with it.
You have to milk your cat to get your daily antidote. And there probably isn't even a poison going through for. They just want to watch the old man suffer with his giant eyebrows, his eyebrows of glory. Good God, those things were fabulous.
Yeah, the other guy, the creepy little scrawny dude, he had big eyebrows like that too. That's why remember I made the comment. I said, I can just imagine what the women look like. They are giant hairy pits or something, and hair that they braid somewhere else.
Guy, are there female mentats? I'm sure there are.
Because I didn't see any females in this movie, but they must be hideous. Yeah. Unless you like real hairy girls. I mean, it was pretty gruesome, I thought.
Yeah, Harkonnens are basically Weinstein on the island of Epstein. I mean, that was just David Lynch did so many good things with this movie, but when he got to the Harkonnens and he started doing everything that they did, that was fun to watch. And then whenever Emperor Shaddam comes to Dune, and you see the Beast of Raban's head sliced up and put at his feet. like I felt sorry for Raban for once. I actually felt bad. And I'm sure that the guys that have read the books are like, Bruce, you know, you don't have to feel bad for the Beast Raban. He was a bad man. But I felt bad for him because here's the Emperor who has all these plans in motion and he can't keep a single one in gear because they all went into neutral thanks to Paul and his magical worm lords. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I felt bad for him, and the Emperor Shaddam is a refined sort of evil. He's the white collar evil that, you know, he's a piece of shit that forges money and completely eradicates your 401k and makes you work into your debt at your job because that's the type of shit he's into. But he is. I mean, the Emperor Shaddam is the worst person in this entire series.
Yeah.
He in my opinion, like he's the real evil in this book, in this movie. But the Harkonnens are they're the front evil. They're kind of like what China's doing with North Korea. Every time North Korea does something bad, China's like, oh, don't worry about it, United Nations. We have this. We'll take care of North Korea. We'll get them.
Yeah, they were creepy. Their whole family, the two nephews and the uncle were creepy. I mean, they were perverted, and the whole thing with the heart, the plugs in the heart, just little things like that. And I don't know, the way they looked at each other, it was just gross. They made them really gross. It was like, I can't even tell you. They didn't remind me of anything. They were just gross. I just didn't like any of them. Now, Sting did a real good job, and he didn't seem to be quite as gross because remember, there was one scene when that young man came in and was fixing the tulips, the little metal tulips or whatever in the one room that they were in with the doctor where the Baron was getting worked on. And he saw the young man come in and he looked so fresh and young, and healthy. He went over and he just started torturing him. It was like, and you could see the other two guys just looking at him like, oh my God, this guy's a sick freak. You could see the looks on their face that even they were repulsed by him. It was, they were just gruesome. They were like the worst of the worst. I mean, I would hate to be a person to have to live on that planet with those people. It was gruesome.
I'll share my screen again because we have a winner. Flavey found it on a shirt.
I gotta see this.
It is by caffeine alone. It is by caffeine alone. I set my mind in motion. It is by the beans of Java that thoughts acquire speed, the hands acquire shaking. The shaking becomes a warning. It is by caffeine alone. I set my mind in motion. And you get that shirt at Redbubble.
But where is it? I don't see it on the screen. You want me to add it?
Here we go. Mentat Coffee Credo. This is a large essential t-shirt from Redbubble. Thank you for putting this in chat. I just saw my YouTube chats, like all moderators, like, dude, I must trust all my chat here. I actually do. My chat guys are great.
Yeah.
This is, if you want this shirt, it's $23.34. If you buy 3 or more, it's $19.84. And they've got the link in the chat for it. That is really
get you one and have 2 as gifts.
Yeah, I think that might have to be a thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. It's amazing what you can find online nowadays.
I am very happy. What else about this movie did you want to talk about? Because there's another
well, it's just funny that when you talk about certain things, if other things pop in my head, that's basically how I guess I'm wired. Like when you were talking about the different things that scene with the Baron popped up, they were just disgusting. But just like I said, the different planets these different people came from, and the way that they dressed, the way they decorated their homes, their mannerisms, their technology, their ships. I mean, he did a very good job, the director, at getting you to see all these different things from these different planets. That's another reason why I loved Star Trek growing up, because every week you got to meet a new race from a different planet with new technologies or different, and some of them were way behind, more like non-evolved, type things. And then some were so far evolved that didn't, just like in that one episode we saw last night on Futurama, when that guy was wanting to see if Leela would date him, and he was just matter. Basically, he had evolved past needing a human body, to live in. Different things like that. The concept of what this director was able to put into the different planets, and bring it to life so you could see the differences. And I love that. I thought that was great, because if we did get to go to other worlds, I know it wouldn't be just like ours. People say, well, they got to be humanoid for us to communicate. Well, not really. I mean, we don't know what their technology is, but if they can fly in ships and go places, then they have technology enough to probably figure out how to communicate with another planet with different beings on it, if they've evolved enough to where you can communicate with them. So I just thought that was really good, the way that they were making them so diverse between the different worlds. And I thought that was great. I love that point of view on the movie.
David Lynch said that this is the only real failure of his career. And to this day, he does not talk about the production in great detail. He's refused numerous offers to work on a special edition DVD. He's always claimed that revisiting the movie is too painful an experience to endure. Many fans hope he would eventually come around, and in an article published in Esquire during last year, 2022, he did indeed say that a director's cut could happen.
But why? What was his reasoning behind why he said it was hard for him to endure it? What was so bad with it? It was a phenomenal movie.
During the filming, they lost a lot of money because there were sandstorms that happened, and so like parts of the props, parts of the sets would get blown away. There was people that they would get disheartened on set, or they would get pretty much kind of drunk the day before. This was not a movie with Oliver Reed, my favorite actor of all time, but this was a movie that had a considerable amount of people that didn't know how to properly imbibe spirits, but not know how to show up for work the next day. And so getting people to move and get people going, getting the people that were the actors to get behind the film, once they would see the props and the suits and the outfits, they would complain about, oh my God, we got to wear this. And the thing is that the suits and the outfits on this movie look so much better than the 2000 sci-fi feature, which that was really like, that movie just looks like I ordered Dune on Wish, and that's exactly how I feel that's a terrible film. But like this film here, they found ways to make the most jaded or most single purpose item to be something that was multi-purpose. Like the guild members were wearing body bags that were found in a disused fire station just a few blocks away from the hotel in Mexico City. And so the body bags, the body bags have been used several times, and that was something that the cast members didn't know about until after the shooting was completed. Okay. Fade was originally to have stepped out of the steam bath nude, and Sting had agreed to shoot the scene nude, but the studio panicked, and the costume designer said they had to put something on him, and so they put a skimpy winged G-string he wore, and it was made almost at the very last minute before the scene.
I think I made a comment about that. I said it looked like it was about to fall off of him.
Yeah,
when he was stretching his body out when the Baron first looked.
He almost had a ball flop on that.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I was like, whoa, something's about to appear. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, it looked very skimpy. He was definitely fit. He was in good shape.
Pat Stewart said the still suit was the most uncomfortable costume he'd ever worn in his life. Max von Sydow says the same, but he put up with it because he loved the way his body looked in them. I mean, they do give you good masculine features on those.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart at the time. Here's another piece from I'm reading trivia off IMDb.
Yeah.
He's completely unfamiliar about who Sting is as a musician, and meeting him on set, talking with him during breakfast, he asked if he was a solo artist, and Sting says he's in a band called The Police. And Stewart just didn't understand that. I don't know what you're talking about. He thought Sting played in a Police band.
Oh.
I have no idea
Yeah.
what you're talking about, but hey, if you want to say you're a musician, you can say you're a musician. And that's
Yeah.
basically how that discussion went.
That's
200 workers.
interesting.
200 workers spent 2 months hand cleaning 3 square miles of Mexican desert for location shooting. I just want you to understand 200 people went out for the exterior shots to make the Mexican desert appealing for the shoot. And when I hear things like that, I'm like, wow, they could have just gone to the old Sergio Leone sites for Italy and done the spaghetti sci-fi over there. I think it would have worked out better. I mean, I love the look of this movie, but you spend 2 months hand cleaning 3 square miles of Mexican desert. That's 2 months you don't get back.
Yeah.
And so
Just like it's just like I said before, when you send out location managers, they go out all over the place to try to find what the director has said they're kind of looking for. Okay. And they probably came back with stuff from Arizona, lots of different places. And he said, no, I've seen that in this movie, or no, I've seen that in this movie. You see? So they were trying to get something different. And once the director saw pictures or whatever it is that the person brought back, his mind got set on what he wanted, and he wasn't going to settle. And that makes it really hard sometimes. Just like a lot of directors find an actor that they really like, right? But then the actor doesn't work out. So they try to find someone that looks like that person, or even if they can't act and stuff like that. So it can make a huge downfall in a movie if the director is hung up on a certain thing or having something a certain way in a movie, even though it's to detriment of the actual movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that can hurt. And that might be one of the reasons why he has bad memories of it. Not just the fact that you're going to have whiny actors, because you're going to have that in every single movie. It's the fact that he probably had his heart set on something and he wasn't able to achieve that. And that was what the devastation came from. Because I remember one person telling me that they were on a set and it took them weeks to find a replacement because they had hired this one actress for this part. And when she showed up to do the part, the director said, hell no, I don't want her. Okay. And she didn't understand why, but later on they found out that it was because she looked like his ex-wife. So he said, hell no, you can have her in that. He's not going to look at her every day. So she got fired. Basically, she got paid, but she wasn't able to be in the movie because she looked like his ex-wife. So
there is I just put a video up in the chat, and it's Sean Young on a Super 8, and it's the behind the scenes that you didn't know about for Dune.
Yeah.
So if you want to see stuff, and just like Chimerion's talking about, he's pissed about the editing he's forced to do, and the studios keep interfering, and then there's weather issues that he can't control. And I mean, just everything that could go wrong with this movie filming. It was almost
it's really bad when you have producers, executive producers, especially. Just like I said, they'll bring their nephew or their niece or their daughter or their girlfriend or whatever, and they want them in the movie. So you have to make arrangements to put them in, things like that. So that's what really sucks too, is that you can have a really good director and stuff, but it's out of their hands when the executive producers want certain things, even though they're not there, and they're making decisions that can cause the movie to look like shit. And it's out of their hands. So, I can understand why he would get upset about that kind of thing too.
But this there's a lot that's there as to unpack with what happened on set there. David Lynch, it made the most money of the initial box office run, and it was the only one to break in the top 5 the opening weekend. and it was number 2. So, I mean, even though it was considered a flop, it did hit number 2 that weekend, and it made a good chunk of money. It made the money back,
Yeah.
unlike many other. Sir Pat Stewart's casting as Gunny Halleck was a mistake. In a rush to replace another actor, David Lynch thought he'd hired a different person who was also named Patrick Stewart. So instead of the guy he wanted, he got the guy who played the knight in Excalibur, the 30-year-old man who had a bald head.
Yeah.
Because of the poor commercial and critical reception, all plans for sequels were immediately canceled. Reported that David Lynch was working on a screenplay for Dune Messiah, and he was hired to direct a second and third Dune movie. And in retrospect, Lynch acknowledged he should have never directed this film at all. He was also told he was going to direct Return of the Jedi by George Lucas, and George Lucas was just astounded, like, no, he rejected me. He's not going to direct Return of the Jedi. And he was just kind of shocked. And then whenever he did direct Dune and it failed, George Lucas is a kind of a petty guy, and he celebrated the fact that this movie was a flop. I mean,
that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, George Lucas also told the guy at the 2012 Jurassic Park opening, the director for Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Kingdom, whatever it was, he's like, I'm going to destroy you with this film, with episode 6, or no, it was episode 7, I guess. I don't know. The sequel that started the downhill slide for the Star Wars films. He basically told the guy that made the crappy Jurassic Park movie, my movie will destroy your movie. And in retrospect, both of those films are worse than Dune. Okay. Yeah. Writer and director David Lynch and producer Raffaella De Laurentiis had arranged a screen test in New York with Sean Young for the role of Chani. Young's agent never told her about the meeting, and in fact, she was booked on a flight that evening to L.A. So Lynch and De Laurentiis missed their flight back to L.A. and ended up catching the same plane as Young. During the flight, De Laurentiis noticed Young and told Lynch, I bet that girl's an actress. The stewardess told the pair that her name was Sean Young, and De Laurentiis confronted Young about standing him up and Lynch. And so Sean Young's like, I didn't even know about this. I have no idea. This is back in 83. So They have no idea what's going on. They can't like check social media, talk to your agent real quick. And they sorted it out, and misunderstanding got sorted. The three ended up drinking champagne and reading the script together upon returning to LA. When he interviewed about the novel in 1982, Frank Herbert stated that the message in the novel is don't trust leaders to always be right.
Yeah.
See that?
For sure.
Dune did not have a final cut on. It's the only film I've ever made where we didn't make a final cut. I didn't technically have the final cut on the 1980 version of The Elephant Man, but Mel Brooks gave it to me. And on the Dune, the film, I started selling out, even in script phase, knowing I didn't have a final cut. And I sold that out. So I sold it as a slow dying to death and a terrible, terrible experience. And I don't know how it happened. I trusted it would work out. I was very naive, and I made the wrong move. In those days, the maximum length they figured I could have had is 2 hours and 17 minutes. And that's what the film is. So they wouldn't lose a screening on a day. Once again, it's money talking and not for the film at all. And so it was compacted, and it hurt. It hurt to do that. There's no other version. There's more stuff, but even that's kind of putrefied. He said that in 2006. A lot of that footage he talked about being putrefied, we just watched yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought they did a really good job. Well, that's another thing I wanted to ask was how did they get a hold of all that to be able to make this version of it?
Okay, I want you to think about in your dealings with people, you have friends that they're over the age of 35, and so they probably know someone, and getting a hold of somebody in Tinseltown saying, hey, listen, I need you to get into this locker, or get me somebody that can get me into this locker so I can get this stuff. It's for a movie that will never be made. We'll never look at again. This is how you get it. I have a project I'm trying to put forth. I need to get in here. And you'd be surprised at how many people know a guy that could get in that locker.
Yeah.
And that's how this movie got made, basically through a bunch of back channels. and people finding old footage, and David Lynch giving his, like, if you want to try it, you can. I'm not going to do it. And then finally last year he said, I will do a director's cut, but he's not put it out yet. So I mean,
Is it? Do you think it's because of the all the people, the cult like following it got, is the reason why he decided to go ahead and even talk about maybe doing it? Is because so many people loved it?
Because it's almost been 30, no, it's almost 40 years.
Uh-huh.
And so the pain of all the shit that he had to deal with the studio, that's just a memory, a fading memory of that. And so he's kind of not forgotten it, but it doesn't hurt so bad to think about all the shit he had to go through with MGM and everybody else that was involved, telling him 2 hours and 17 minutes. Don't you make this a minute more? We'll hang you. We'll never let you work again in this town. And he believed it. He thought he was done. There's also a lot of other stuff in the background that I don't know about, but just the backstage drama of this movie is huge. They said the Kwisatz Haderach said by Elia is the last line of the film. It means in Hebrew jumping the path, and it's mentioned in the Talmud and the Jewish folklore, and it refers to miraculously traveling between two distant places in a brief time. So basically, the Kwisatz Haderach is basically folding space or standing still and moving great distances.
Yeah, folding time, like I was talking about. And that's why that one guy, that one creature or whatever planet it came from, didn't want to give that up.
This movie,
he could sense it. Remember, he said to kill him, and that was the reason why, because he knew that one person, because he was so powerful, he knew that that's the person that was going to do it. Way back at the beginning, remember when he told the emperor to make sure he was killed, not the Duke, his son. So that's why he was threatened by him, because he knew that he was the one that was born that way because of who he was supposed to be. Because he hadn't drank the water of life. He was just born that way because he had the gift without the spice already, but the spice just enhanced him.
I could believe that.
See, that's why I thought that from the, when I said that's why that one creature, what was his name again? I keep messing up. The big head thing that was the tube.
Oh, you're talking about the Shai Hulud?
Yeah.
Okay.
That knew at the very beginning when he was telling the emperor to kill Paul Atreides, and he was like, I wonder why they would want him dead and not the Duke. Because see, the son was born with the gift.
The navigator. My bad.
So
now, whenever Paul hooked the worm, you see the tendons. Those tendons, whenever they're doing that, he's running along and jamming the plates apart.
Yeah.
Those tendons were made from condoms.
What?
Those tendons visible when Paul hooks a worm were made from condoms.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
They used everything they could.
They're very stretchy.
Yeah. Now, this movie required 80 sets to be built on 16 sound stages. It took more than 6 years to get it made, and it required writer and director David Lynch to be present for 3.5 years. The production crew of this movie is 1,700 people.
Yep. That's a lot.
The musical instrument, Sir Patrick Stewart, is called a baliset. It's a Chapman stick. It's an electric guitar and bass created in the 1970s by Emmett Chapman, he's one that's playing the music we hear. Emmett Chapman was the musician playing in the background for the electric guitar stick that he was playing with. In the introduction of the 1985 short story collection, Frank Herbert discussed the movie's reception and his participation. He complimented writer and director David Lynch and listed scenes that were shot but left out of the released version. He wrote, I enjoyed the film even as cut. I told it as I saw it. What reached the screen is a visual feast that begins as Dune begins, and you hear my dialogue all through it. Herbert continued, I have my quibbles about the film, of course, Paul was a man playing God, not a god who could make it rain. So in this film that we just saw, they don't have the rain scene at the end because Paul does not, according to Frank Herbert, make it rain. If you want to see it rain, you can, but that isn't how the movie's supposed to be. The rough cut, without post-production efforts, without any effects put into it, the rough cut is 4 hours long. Over 4 hours long. And David Lynch's intended piece is almost 3 hours long. So we basically got a director's cut. We don't know if it's the director's cut, but 2 hours and 58 minutes is what we watched. And so the producers and financiers expected a standard 2-hour cut of the movie. They reduced the runtime, and Dino De Laurentiis and Raffaella De Laurentiis and Lynch excised numerous scenes, filmed new scenes that simplified or concentrated plot elements, and added voiceover narrations. And Virginia Madsen's Princess Aurelia introduction was a last-minute add-on. Oh, while they were shooting on location in Mexico, the filming it came to a halt once again. Most of the cast and crew came down with Montezuma's revenge, most commonly known as the Traveler's Diarrhea. The studio had to build a full cafeteria large enough to accommodate the entire cast and crew, possibly up to 1,700 people, for every meal, and as well as import all the food from the U.S. to keep the movie on schedule.
Yeah.
There's a wow. Okay, so Lady Jessica commented, Francesca Annis, Lady Jessica commented she had a negative impression when she first watched the movie during premiere, saying any Hollywood film that has to explain itself in detail at the beginning is in trouble. Also, according to her, Dino and David Lynch's different views, as well as De Laurentiis' creative interventions, contributed for the movie's really poor performance. And if David Lynch had been able to make his own film, it would have been brilliant. But unfortunately, Dino saw every tiny step, every little thing, and he ruined it. That is the first time I've ever said anything negative about Dino De Laurentiis, and I'm sure that will not be the last. As I started doing this sort of movie critiques, I'm going to be hearing a lot of that, I'm sure, in the future.
Yeah.
There were supposed to be 2 sequels to this based on Dune Messiah and The Children of Dune, but because of the box office failure, they ensured that the plans would never come to fruition. That's all of the trivia that you guys probably didn't know about, because the rest of this is just repeats, it looks like. But Sir Pat Stewart said in interviews that every cast member lost 2 scenes in the cuts made in editing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that sounds legitimate to me. Lots of stuff ends up on the floor. It's like I said, the director films a lot of extra stuff, and then you also have second crew that goes out and films people crossing the street. You know, the double doing different things so that they can edit in seconds here and there where they need to fix things like that. So yeah, all that makes sense. So there is always lots of stuff taken out. And sometimes they redo whole scenes because the director doesn't like something about it. Doesn't fit the way that they think it should fit. So they'll redo a whole scene.
The last piece of trivia I'll let you guys know about, Kai mentioned it yesterday, but the weirding module was written into this film to replace the Bene Gesserit martial art referred to by the Freeman as the weirding way. Writer and director David Lynch decided to use the modules because he found the idea of the weirding way unworkable on film, and he does not want to see kung fu on the dunes. The weirding modules were later seen on computer games Dune 1992 and Emperor Battle for Dune 2001 as powerful handheld weapons used by the Freeman Fedaykin Special Unit. And in the games Dune 2, They Build a Dynasty, and Dune 2000, the weirding modules are inspirations of sonic tanks deployed by House Atreides, which that was what I'm sorry, I thought that was canon. Kai, you were right, and I really appreciate you. Is there anything else you want to discuss on this?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything that I can remember about it. I thought the casting was phenomenal. They had way more actors in it, big name actors, because I was like, I remember this person, from other things. So there was a lot of big actors in this movie, even playing small parts, just like the woman who played the housekeeper.
Mhm. Well, yeah,
I saw
that's
her in lots
Linda
of it.
Hunt.
Yeah, Linda Hunt. Yeah,
She
she was in tons of stuff.
she was in
And
Tootsie, and
so
then Brad Bird made fun of her, and he put her in 2 Incredibles movies, and it's glorious because he does a
I
very good
loved her. I
impression.
loved her character in The Incredibles. I
That's
thought
not
it was
her. That's
great.
Brad Bird doing
No,
an
I know, but
impersonation
I
of her.
mean, I thought that him making a character that looked so much like her was really made that character rememberable because of that. Anyone that watched The Incredibles thought that was her character. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that shows you how prominent she was
In Nerd Ogre.
as an actress, to be everyone to see it and think it's her. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's like the biggest form of flattery. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I really enjoy how this movie has just taken on a different life than what it started with in '84. Everybody thought it was a terrible film, and
Yeah, just like Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I'm gonna go see this next weekend.
yeah,
I'll go
you're doing that this Friday, right, or Saturday?
this Saturday. We'll do the Rocky Horror Picture Show on Saturday night in a
Mhm.
hotel. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. It became a cult classic, just like this movie. They didn't do that well when they first came out because it didn't get the numbers it needed, or because it got the viewed in the wrong way that it wasn't meant to. But younger people got to watch it, after the people that did watch it thought, some people liked it, but the next generation that got to see it was like, wow, this kicks ass. So, and that's how I feel about this movie. I mean, it's a great movie. It's well made. It's got great acting. The story is phenomenal. And it's right up my alley. It's sci-fi, it has romance, comedy. It has a little of everything in it. And it's really, really well done. The vision is great. Okay. Just to me, just like Rock Horror Picture Show, even though it's a totally different type of movie, the fact that it is beloved still after all these years and people are still lining up to pay money to see it when you can buy it at home, it's the interaction that you get when you get to watch it with other people, just like we did. How much fun we had getting to sit in a room together, even though we weren't really together. It was almost like we were, and getting to talk about it and enjoy it with other people that enjoying it with you. I just think that's great, and you can't pick and choose what people are going to fall in love with over time. So I think it's great.
The princess had a narration at the start of every chapter in the book, so her inclusion is both funny and sad. Janet, yes, she looks beautiful, doesn't she, Hungar? Speaking of our friend Hungar, I think it's rather appropriate that I show you guys this because there is a way for you to have yourself your very own Hungar the Navigator T-shirt. And let me pull this up because this is very important, almost as important as the meme I put up for Bud Dwyer. But this is what you get. This is a $22 shirt. Occasionally you'll see this on sale for $16, but this is a very important shirt.
Yeah.
Pepe the Navigator. I think this is one of the best shirts I've ever seen. I laughed far too much at this, and I gotta say thank you, Hungar. I'll be getting one of these here on the next couple of weeks. This is maybe might be getting a threesome of these. This is a fantastic shirt, dude. Probably my favorite in your entire armada.
I just love the. I love what do you call that guy again in the center?
Yeah, the Navigator.
Yeah, the Navigator. I just love the Navigator in that on that T-shirt. It's hilarious.
Glad this movie didn't end up like in Event Horizon. Yeah, me too. Um,
Sorry,
Rocky
I'm
Horror
so
Picture
stressed out.
Show. The fun is of that movie is also the audience interaction. That's a
Yeah,
big
I'm
reason
getting.
part of
I'm
it.
gonna get the goodie bag and be ready to throw hot dogs and cards and light big lighters and spray bottles and do all the everything, every single bit of it because it's worth it to me to be with other people that are going to enjoy it as much as me. So that'd be great.
Now, my buddy Hungar is monetized or potentially monetized now, but if you haven't jumped on the Hungar train, I'm going to tell you to grab a hold of this and subscribe. This is fantastic. Go ahead and get over there, help this guy out. He puts a lot of good in the community. One of our friends, one of our dear men that we get to talk to, his brother James is a pretty okay guy too. No ham though. Just go ahead and subscribe to him. Appreciate everybody being in here tonight. Janet, sounds like the allergy meds are starting to come off.
I know, and I doubled up before we started. It's
Okay.
just that there's so much stuff out there that I'm allergic to. It's just terrible.
You're fine. I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
you're not fine, but we're gonna wrap this up because I got everything said that I wanted to. I wanted to talk about the trivia. There's a butt ton of trivia on this movie. There's a lot of cool little facts. There's things in this film that are just a lot of fun to discuss, like rats tied to cats. I don't understand that at all, but okay, whatever. Everyone, next week, I believe, Janet. Janet, you have a pick.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes, ma'am.
I haven't picked anything,
Shit.
so you're gonna have to pick one.
What?
You're gonna have to pick a movie because I haven't thought of anything to pick. I didn't realize I had to pick a movie this week.
Okay. Well, always first off,
Sorry.
have a movie always in the dugout, ready to go on at the batter's back or batter's backs under the plate. Secondly, the movie for next week, if it's going to be my pick, one of our good friends in the chat, our friend Six Nation 31 Kings, said the movie Ice Pirates. So if you've
Ice
never seen
Pirates.
Ice Pirates, that'll be the film we watch.
I haven't seen it, so that'll
All
be
right,
good.
well, you're sitting next to me next week because that's a very important film.
Okay, good.
It's a very, very fun movie. Ice Pirates from 1984. We're all going to watch that in Discord at 7 p.m. Be in Discord at 4:30, and we'll start watching some Futurama.
Yeah.
I love having these get-togethers with everybody, and
And you watch five. You're watching 5 episodes, right?
yeah, I'm
Futurama.
going to try to watch 5 episodes, and probably if nobody picks one for us, then what we'll do an entire episode discussing like season 1 or season 1 and 2 of Futurama because we have to do that. There's a lot to unpack about this show.
I know. I told you. It's good. It's got good characters. Good storytelling.
We have not covered Buckaroo Banzai yet, Kai. We'll note that on the list. And it just so you guys know, if Janet ever makes me pick a movie, I'm defaulting to some 80s sci-fi or 70s dystopian sci-fi. So that's what you get. That's what my diet was.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But remember, I talked to you about movies today when I told you that I wanted what movie I would like to watch for Halloween.
Yeah.
So I wasn't thinking about another one. I was thinking about those. So
Come on now. Let's
Sorry.
see. For the October 30th, just if in case you didn't get the memo, October 30th is a Monday night, and we are watching the 29th of October for our Halloween special. We are watching Fright Night from 1985.
yes, I'm excited
So,
about that one.
I might as well let that cat out of the bag because there's a lot of people that love Fright Night. I think that's one of the better horror Hollywood films that have been
Yeah.
remade. Unfortunately, it doesn't. The new remake sucks, but this movie here in 1985 did it right.
Uh-huh.
Fright Night 1 and 2 actually have a 3-hour documentary. There's a 3-hour documentary on those two films from 1985 and 1987 that
Uh-huh.
I have to watch those at some point because I like getting in the weeds on things, and that just there's a lot to unpack about the Fright Night films because you have the previous existing film that they wanted to honor and redo, and then you have all the new people that were involved with the Fright Night films, and they're just a ball to listen to. At least they used to be. I mean, I don't know about Amanda Bierce now, but before she came out as an angry carpet muncher, she used to be fun to listen to.
So you saying that men can't be angry carpet munchers
We
themselves?
we only get happier when we have carpet to munch on.
Okay, I'll try to remember that. Is it because you have too much carpet to munch, or you like little amount of carpet?
Listen, as long as we get to kiss the clam, that's the part that makes us happy.
Okay.
That's
Why does all of our shows end up ending this way?
that's fun.
I know, but yeah, yeah, I was really surprised when I found out about that later on that that she was a lesbian, because I would never have thought that, because I thought their chemistry in the movie Fright Night was really, really good.
Yes.
So I was surprised about it when I found out.
Janet, have you seen this movie?
Which one? Boondock Saints? Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, remember I told you I got to meet one of the actors.
Yeah, you kind of have a crush on Daryl, don't you?
Yeah. No, the other one.
Oh, Sean Patrick Flannery. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, damn it. Okay, so we don't have anything set up for November yet. November is going to be Sean Patrick Flannery month.
Okay.
Because Janet needs eye candy,
Yeah.
and I want my co-host to be happy. So we're going to watch Boondock Saints, maybe Boondock Saints 2.
Yeah, they're both cute. I mean, they're both cute, but I really like him. I think he's really cute.
Watch out for the HPV. We'll have they were perfect in Boondock Saints. I agree, and
yes, they were. They was very good, both of them.
Repeated viewings of that film is so good,
and they're really friends too.
Yeah, I believe that.
So,
but we are at 3 hours and 2 minutes, and
wow, that's amazing.
We want to say a sincere thank you to Flady and to John for the super chats and super sticker. Really appreciate it. You did not have to do that. We'll get that to people that need it more than us. If there's something that's coming up that you guys want us to cover, we will put that on the list. I really want to do something on Futurama because I'm thinking this is the cartoon version of The Wire, or the cartoon that's as significant for cartoons as what The Wire is for TV series. So if you
grown-up cartoon
so good
for people like us.
But we appreciate everybody that came. Thank you for hanging out with us for over 3 hours. We could have talked about this movie for 3.5 and then gone in sex talk, but we want you guys to have a great night. Have a good week. This is Monday. We're going into Tuesday. Go out there tomorrow. Go make yourself and your family happy. And we will see you later on. We will see you next week to discuss the fantastic sci-fi classic Ice Pirates.
Yes.